rights violations.
You stand anywhere, there's no fracas, there's no demonstration, there are no vehicles on the road, and even holding a press conference becomes difficult. But we're undeterred. They're unhappy because the foundational principles upon which this struggle started have not been met. And we have a new constitutional dispensation, and that constitution is like it doesn't exist. People are still being abducted. There are extrajudicial killings.
In other news, suspended Nairobi finance CEC Charles Kerich was ordered to surrender to industrial area remand prison immediately after the High Court declined to suspend his 3-month jail term for contempt of court. Justice Francis Gikonyo of Milimani High Court ordered Kerich, who appeared in court virtually for the first time, to immediately present himself at the prison facility without further delay. In May, the court found Kerich guilty of contempt after he failed to comply with court orders requiring payment of 106.7 million shillings to Kwengu and Company Advocates, a Nairobi-based law firm. And the Kenya Forest Service has invited members of the public to submit views on a proposed airstrip at Meru Forest Station in Upper Imenti Forest. KFS says the project is intended to improve access for forest management, disaster response, and support economic activities in the region. The proposed airstrip and related infrastructure will occupy about 11 hectares. The service has asked residents, environmental groups, and other stakeholders to submit their comments by 21st July through its Meru office, website, or email. The feedback will inform the project's environmental and social impact assessment before construction begins. And that's the news. I'm Sheila Timbur.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Broadcasting worldwide, Spice FM. Online, mobile, and on radio. Facebook at Spice FM KE.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used for anything and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you. You saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You have land, Dennis.
Yeah.
Okay, your own land. You use your own money to build it, and then you sell it to yourself.
But we don't want foreign troops on Kenyan soil.
But surely it goes a little bit deeper. This is it.
If you find the tree is withering, then you call the person who is managing that tree. Come around.
Yeah,
why? Tell me what is
first of all, what's the problem?
Yes, what is the problem there?
How do we expect ourselves to move forward as a country?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
He is himself actually has admitted that he bribed members of parliament. So
He admitted that he bribed members of parliament?
Well, when he said
The government.
when he said that he gave the 10 million was for what?
We're always quick to point faults in somebody else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo ungekuwa umeenda mbali sana hii. So we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do.
Like now, he abandoned, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutanu, Mama Mboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official.
Okay.
My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We
sana.
will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to settle, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and they say they went there on the because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and you found them they're already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same
and the
National
Senate,
Assembly.
Yes.
That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's morning, no sooner than had it been night. It's morning. No matter how you see it, it will not always be night. Kitu kama hiyo. Okay, sasa now.
Welcome to this side of town. Where
Morning.
we have 8 days in a week.
Oh, hey. Najitafuta shida asubuhi.
Ukaje?
Niko salama. How are you?
Fiti.
You slept well?
Nashukuru.
When you slept?
Yes.
That's very good. A very good morning to you.
Morning to you. Uko fiti?
Niko salama. Yes. It's Wednesday.
Yep.
Sino?
Sunday.
Okay, got it right.
Sunday.
It's hump day. It is. Everything else is downhill from here. And downhill doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing. It's already the 8th of July. And we're already a quarter way through the month, more or less, something like that. Almost a quarter way through the month. So, welcome to the Situation Room this morning. Top of the morning to you, EVE and Skitty. She's waved with 2 hands.
Right.
I'm telling you, there's nice things happening. And Marion. Yeah, even with 2 hands. So now those are 4 hand waves. I don't know what Evelyn is using to wave, but it's okay. There's a guy who's teaching me how to greet people if you are in Kilifi County. His name is Jimmy Mambo. Vidze. Exactly. I'm learning. I'm telling you, give me another 2 years. I'll then be able to master some of Kenya's languages. Okay. Joyline is feeling cold as usual. You know how you just work with people over some time, then you just get to kind of know how they are and who they are. True. Yeah, I think we're getting into that place right now. So, at 6:15, very good morning to everybody. Thank you and karibu sana. Now that we have done house business and greeted everybody and made sure that everybody is bright, shiny, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, let's get into Wednesday. People are feeling cold. In fact, Evelyn is angry at the cold. Dennis is not sure. He needs to find a fire somewhere. Or a beach somewhere. Me? I'm in the prime of life. I'm enjoying this weather. I wouldn't lie. If there were activities that would go with the weather, sign me up right now.
Rahim Tula. Show us your ways.
Sensei. So, now that it's Wednesday, let me tell you what we'll be talking about today.
Yes.
I know Mutanu is about to shout at me because I've not done like that. Just give me a minute as I try to multitask. All right. So our conversations today will be of an interesting nature, but are necessary as usual for us to have. Let me just say good morning to our audience on KTN this morning. Karibu Sana. And everybody who's tuned into the Situation Room on terrestrial radio around the country and tuned in around the region and the world, welcome. And thank you for joining us this morning. As we get into some things that we must do today, we're very glad that you have joined us. Saba Saba, we start off at 7 o'clock. And we're going to be having a conversation around Game Plan 2027. Are there cracks in the opposition? It's interesting because people who may have sat on the sidelines before, or people who are throwing their hats into the race, will be part of the conversation today. Just a little bit of something here and there. Tony Gashoka is the KANU spokesperson. He'll join us at 7 o'clock for that conversation. At 8 a.m., Professor Gitile Naituli will join us as a former NCIC commissioner. And I will say that the present chairman of the NCIC, Bishop Omai, was supposed to join us as well for us to have the conversation, but he will not be able to do that today. We will have the conversation anyway in their absence. It's necessary for us to look at the things when we talk about regionalism and uniting the nation, political rhetoric or tribal politics. We're going to talk about it because it's fast seeping into the conversations that we are having, and we will keep it front and center, no matter what. We'll wrap up our conversation today at 9 o'clock with Wycliffe Alut-Talala, who is the chairman of the Africa Tech Workers Movement, and Frida Mwangi, who's the national chairperson of the Kenya Union of Gig Workers. Now, shielding big tech from accountability. Did you know that there's certain provisions under the Business Laws Amendment Bill 2026 whereby even if you are being mistreated, you cannot sue big tech. You cannot take them to court or hold them accountable. Ticks you off just a little bit? Yes. We're going to be having that conversation at 9 o'clock. So let's look into the intrigues of it and what exactly it means and how it affects you and me. Sawa, that's what we'll be talking about today as we get into it proper. Kabisa. So thank you for being here, everybody. And let's get into the conversation today. And as we do that, tell us, sir, what our proverb is today from Liberia.
The proverb: the one who climbs a good tree deserves a push. The one who climbs a good tree deserves a push. If you're doing a good thing, you need to be encouraged to keep doing it.
Right.
If you are doing bad things, climbing a bad tree, you need to be discouraged. Yes. If you have been told to pay someone 106 million shillings and you don't pay, we look for you. We put you in jail. Capish?
Capish. Okay, I think I've kind of okay. So like, you can't just, if you're doing a good thing, you can get the encouragement to continue doing that thing, right? And so that you shouldn't, if you're doing a bad thing, then we can just leave you alone. But a push in this sense is like encouragement, as in we keep you going.
Keep on doing a good thing,
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. I can see that for sure.
Usipofanya, tuko kwa streets.
Una link to kuna shida. We see exactly what you're doing. But no problem. It actually does make sense.
True.
It does make sense. Okay. So then we want to say hello to you this morning, and that's an interesting proverb for real. I want to say hello to you this morning. Tell us where it is that you tuned in from. Indeed, our live streams are up on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X this morning. Lovely to always have you in the room. So tell us where it is that you tuned in from, and let's say hello to you this morning as we get into it. Sawa. All right, so let me just get into saying hi to you. Always lovely to have you here, and I like it that there are people who say hi that have not been in the room before, or at least who have not made a comment, and it's just nice to then be able to connect with you. Good morning from Mombasa, says Robert Mbogo. Good morning to you. Kiaria Peter tuned in this morning from Mombasa. A man thrives where he's celebrated, not where he's tolerated. It's kind of connecting to the proverb that you've given this morning, is it not?
Exactly.
Yes, I can see that. Where you're as in, it's somebody who will celebrate you, and you can say, actually, yes, I can keep going just because of that encouragement. Exactly. It's always definitely a good thing to then be able to experience. Yeah, so good one, Kiari, and thank you for that. And a very good morning to you, as always, for joining us in the room every day. All right. James says, hello, great team. Came in as spice and now have become the main course. Ha about that. Yeah. When the annals of champions of civic education are written, you people will have a special mention. James, thank you very much. And thank you for tuning in and just being part of the conversation, not just tuning in, but being part of this. Bwangi Juma says, good morning. SpiceFM, how are you all this blessed Wednesday? It's indeed disheartening to kill a person whose mistake is falling from a moving vehicle. Kumbe, that 1,000 won't buy you food for 2 days. Nope, it won't. Isakale says, good morning, Nduh and Aseto, the usual suspects. May your coffee be stronger than the headlines. Amen. And may your blood pressure remain gloriously unacquainted with the news cycle. Stay hopeful. Well, we'll do it. We'll try. G. Kenyan says, good morning from Nairobi. Bernardo Gamba says, morning, big team. Yesterday, Saba Saba guest in your show was ill-chosen. Sorry, Baz. Too young then, no reform credentials, while many with authentic history will still exist. Okay. Which one specifically? Specify. G. Kenyan says, if William Ruto tells you today is Sunday and the calendar agrees with him, check again. He might be showing you last year's calendar. Yikes. Stephen Juma says, good morning, great team. I'm in from Muhoroni. Listening to you is a must every morning. Good day. Asante Sana. And a very good morning to you. Henry Accepted says, good morning, Spice family. Leteni Nani Kwa hiyo hot seat, yule jama nani? Say it with your full chest. Say it. Nani?
Yeah, amesikia.
Bashari and Njeri says, good morning, Team Spice. All shall be well. Despite what you are going through now, there is no permanent problem. Absolutely. From Portland, Oregon, with love. Asante. Alex Gyoko says, good morning, Team Spice. Kitale is tuned in. Maya Angela once said, people will forget what you said. They will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That is true.
True.
Jennifer Atenya, very good morning to you. She says, Nduh, good morning. Good morning to Dennis and Spice. Family, looking forward to an engaging conversation. Let's get into it. Kimiak, good morning. Enjoying my morning run, tuned in kama kawaida, countdown 398 days to the butcher's massive fall. Wow. Where? You fall because nothing good will come out of the Kenya Kwanzaa administration. Kimiak, good morning.
Good morning.
Christina A says, good morning. You've said a lot this morning. Now, appenda, cause hapa, hakungacha. Let me read.
Hakuna cha. Those are your words. Not
Hakuna cha. Okay, because there was a G there. Okay. Those are your words and not Spice words. You always allow the guests to speak their mind and even dig in for more. You call a spade a spade. Thank you very much, Christina. We'll continue to do it every day. It's Kenny says, good morning, tuned in Team Spice, tuning in from Kiambu. There is no better way to commemorate our fallen heroes than preserving the lives already existing. Yesterday was a success, if you ask me. Good day. And to you too. Eric O'War says, good morning, guys. Good morning to you. Gekota is tuned in and says, good morning, my good people, Princess Nduh, Dennis, and EVE. So the police spokesman says he doesn't think that he doesn't think there's Saba Saba, and then goes on to barricade the city. Just watching from Miami, Florida. Yeah. Yeah, it's an oxymoron, isn't it? That's it. John Morathi says, Leo nimeingia huku on time. Good morning, people, and a very good morning to you. Chukunzira says, good morning. Luce in Qatar is where you're tuned in from this morning. Blessed day ahead, everybody. Mtuflani, good morning. Sir Sharap, uliona Princess Nduh going viral yesterday for roasting a fellow on the hot seat yesterday.
Yes.
Yani. I'm sitting
down.
Yeah, kitu kama hiyo. Jama alichomeka kama maka. Osana Mark says, good morning, Spice family. I'm watching you from Amerikwai, in Busia County. That's interesting. Never heard of that. Mutuflani nakuona. I'm just going back to Mutuflani. Nakuona. Huku hakuna baridi, kujeni tuishi huku. Joyline, umesikia kuna mali huko Busia that doesn't have cold. Dennis, you guys.
Amerikwai.
Dennis, EVE, all of you people who feel cold like problems. There's a place where there's Amerikwai. There's no colds. Stanley Gasha says, good morning, tuned in. TSR is, you're tuned in from Juja. All roads lead to Chaka Ranch for the Great Kenya Meat Conference. Just carry a pen, notebook, and kafagara. What is that? Kafagara. I could be saying it wrong. After all, I said mwecheche.
Unga. Hiyo ni unga ya ugali ama unga bosema.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where we are. Kenya Meat Conference. So people are going to eat meat or look at meat. Look at meat in its moving form. To discuss meat.
More about meat.
Tukule nyama choma. Okay. There better be nyama choma.
Yeah, we're going to discuss about the export market that never was.
Then eat the meat, no?
So processing facilities, value addition perhaps.
So there's no eating meat in this conference?
There could be one or two.
Why go for a meat conference if you don't eat the meat? I'm not going. If there's no nyama choma. I've seen you even with my eyes closed. Daniel Churro says, Guten Morgen, blessed crew. All Kalau by-election is being used as a litmus test to see if given enough goodies and propaganda, if people can still be swayed into making the wrong decisions again. I'm telling you, boss, the things that have landed on All Kalau over the last couple of days. Hey! Gas.
I saw that boat and I was like, okay, sour.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
This now we've remembered there's a place called Old Kalau.
Yes.
In the Nene.
They require boats, they require affordable gases, mattresses. What else? Yeah. Now is when they require them. Like 2022.
What do you mean now? Last week they didn't require them.
Yeah.
In January they didn't need those things. But now, just 8 days to a by-election is when you realize that they require them. Come on. Anyway, you guys are happy with it like that? Nabado.
Well, then we have 4 billion shillings for a presidential candidate. Okay. 4.4
billion.
Yeah.
Don't spend above that.
Yeah.
But the campaign season has not begun. This is just
nobody
empowerment. See campaigning.
We just meet the people tour.
Mm-hmm. And your mother train you when you go to somebody's house, you don't go empty handed.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what we're doing. Everybody should just relax. Patrick on the X says, good morning, tuned in. You said reject Keumbu market. Why are we rejecting the market again?
I
know.
There's a guy who died there.
Yeah, he died.
So it's very sad. I usually shop there as I go to Migori, coming back to Nairobi as well. So.
You know it. Ouch. Wanda says, good morning, Nduh and Aseto from Toronto. Aseto, I love the sweater. That is what you call a cable knit sweater. That one. Yes. Cable knit. It's beautiful.
Asante.
And it's one of those, neutral colors. Well done. And it goes against your skin tone.
Hey.
Once
you go black, never go back. Anyway.
Where? Happy Hump Day, says Wanda. May we all get over it well. Amen. David Kaindi says, good morning, tuning from Nairobi. A reminder that resilience beats it all. Yes, it does. Yeah. Nancy Abura says, good morning, Team Spice. Listening from Mirema Nawapenda Sana, Tunakupenda Pia, my sister. Eric Nganga is tuned in this morning. All Kalau handouts just shows you how desperate the government is to win back the votes from Lima. Well, it shows something, that's for sure.
What are we doing with that desperation? What kind of decisions, what advantage are we taking, knowing that they're desperate?
Let's see what happens.
Let's see.
But the fact that there has to be an outright brazen handing out kind of thing, it is not because you suddenly love the people of All Kalau or you've decided that All Kalau. You want something from them. And if you can't see it as the person who's on the receiving end of it, then okay, I don't know. I don't know. What?
Nick Bala is saying something.
Wait, we'll get to Nick Bala in just a minute. We see, Nick Bala. Morning, yesterday, Nduh said sugarcane is a grass. No, sugarcane is a fruit. Actually, my friend, sugarcane is in the grass family.
True.
I put it to you.
Put you to task.
That you go and do a little research.
You submit.
I submit to you, sir. Your honor, sir. That sugarcane is not a fruit.
It's a grass.
It is actually a grass species. Just because it is sweet when you squeeze it or chew it does not make it a fruit. Sawa sawa. Please go and check that research. But Nick Bala, we say good morning to you. Paul Olaka says, good morning, another great day. Good morning to you. Sarah Habat, good morning. Nduh baby. Yes. Jaber, how are you doing? Dennis, Ichieu.
Yes. Maber. Ato ejibu tu hivyo. Sema tu Maber.
Maber.
Yes.
Are you sure? Okay, so Nico Salama Kabisa. Tibbs Muge says, good morning, SpiceFM. This World Cup has been an effective distraction from the what's happening. Because what?
Yeah.
Egypt scored 2 goals and we were like, okay, Egypt, I see you. I see what you're doing.
And then
Argentina came and said, there's a reason why the guy
there is a man
called the GOAT plays here. And it ended 3-2. And I went to bed and I said, okay.
So
no
the guy
problem.
said, you know what? You gave me a penalty. I'll just waste it. But I'll still come back
and win this match. Meanwhile, Kylian Mbappe is who he says he is.
Yeah.
Because he said, excuse me, you want to step to me with your racist bigotry? Let me tell you, madam.
Shut up.
And then Emmanuel Macron said, Kylian Mbappe has scored again. This time not in the net, but we back you. Paraguay comes and says, we don't support this woman in what she's saying. We are supporting you. The United Human Rights, what are they called? Said, no, we don't accept this kind of thing. Did you know that in France, it's actually criminal to take a racist stance? It's a criminal offense. Kylian Mbappe said, you want to step to me? I'll show you. And is he just not doing that?
And I'll show.
And I'm sure, Nabado. Kaende. You brought it. Let's see if you can take it, sister.
Yep.
Vintage Oak says, good morning to all. Set for the show, Kabisa. Isakali says, Mtuflani, I saw our princess as well. She's blessed and she has an army behind her. Ameno. I like it. Good morning. Abdi Razik says, Abdi Rizakali, good morning, I beg your pardon, says good morning and a good morning to you. Keegan Cheritich says, good morning from Sydney, Australia. Only thing I thank this regime for is making me tune in and watch Kenyan news from 12,000 kilometers away. Fantastic. Good morning. Sarah Rabat, are you ready for this, Mr. Aseto?
Yeah.
Dennis, that sweater speaks in capital block white letters. I'm a sweater girl. Oh, Wada, you are smart. She has even spoken in French.
Son.
She has spoken in French. Daniel says we should bring Gashago for 2 hours, please. I can imagine the tantrum we'll see from the house on the hill. Where?
Let's invite him.
Yeah, well, it's the boss. It's the boss.
Evelyn.
You have a missed call.
2 hours. With Riggy G.
They're the ones who have said that's what they want. Good morning, everybody. Karibu, thank you for joining us in the room today. Let's get into it again and let's talk about these things. Let's refuse to take mediocrity as sugar in our tea or coffee. Refuse it. Let's ask and push for the best excellence at all times. Let's try and do it. Let's demand of it. It doesn't matter where you sit. That if you find yourself in a pit, chances are you took the wrong route.
Yes.
There's an opportunity to take the right route. Even through our conversations, our thoughts, our actions. That's why we talk the way we do in the Situation Room every day. Thank you for joining us. Let's get into those conversations. But we want to look at what's in the headlines today. This one you want to hear. Do you have your drink in hand? Perhaps the libation of choice this morning is just coffee. Mutuflani might say something totally different.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at what's in the skies and what's on the ground before we look at what's in the headlines. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
All right, at 14 degrees and partly cloudy in Nairobi, we will see a high of 24. 14 and clear looking into Nakuru, and Njeri at 13 is partly cloudy. It's 19 and mostly clear into Kisumu, while at 17 it is clear in Kakamega. 22 and cloudy in Mombasa, while at 24 it's cloudy into Malindi. 19 and cloudy in Marsabit, and looking into Kampala it is cloudy at 20, and 22 and partly cloudy in Dar es Salaam. 6 degrees and weather, the temperature's dropping in Johannesburg, and we'll see a high of 20. It's 27 and partly cloudy in Lagos, and clear skies at 20 in London. Mostly sunny at 28, looking into Beijing, and Tuesday night in New York is mostly cloudy at 20. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see a high of 21 and a low of 19.
Chilled Spice.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Traffic.
All right, has it started to be a busy Wednesday? Let's take a look. A little bit of traffic on North Airport Road, in and outbound, coming through towards Cabanas on one side and then heading out into Advocacy on the other side. So there's also a little bit of busyness coming off of the Thika Superhighway this morning, and we'll see some of that getting towards Wangari Maathai at the junction, heading towards museums. Still early, still slim pickings in terms of traffic. Everywhere else seems to be moving along with not a problem. We'll get into traffic hour and then we'll let you know what it looks like. Let's talk and keep it moving. SpiceFM #EonX, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, let's look into the headlines this morning and let's see what is on the front page of Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. Surrender or else. What you gonna do when they come for bad boys? What you gonna do? That's the big picture today. And if you're wondering who that is the Nairobi County Finance CEC. For nearly 2 months, suspended Nairobi Finance Executive Charles Kerich has sought to outrun a prison sentence. On Monday, the High Court shut the door on his latest bid, ordering him to report to Nairobi Remand Prison to begin serving a 3-month jail term for contempt in a bitter 106 million shilling legal fees battle. Surrender or be arrested, the judge warned, adding that Kerich will be treated as a fugitive if he fails to comply. Have you understand how the language now has shifted? Before, it was, come and tell us what's going on. You refuse to come. So now we've said, you know what? The judgment remains. So when you come, you will proceed to start your sojourn at the Nairobi Remand Prison. Should you fail to do that, we will arrest you and have you serve it Now, so the language has actually shifted.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, it was come, present yourself to court. Let us have, because you've been held in contempt because you didn't.
Let's hear you.
Mm-hmm. Now that you have been giving us long stories, you have sat remotely, you've attended virtual court, whatever the case may be, and whatever you said as the reason why you could not present yourself, the judge looked at you and said, the hog to the wash. So, come. And when you come, do not collect 200. Do not just go to jail. Have you played Monopoly? There's that guy for locked in jail state. That's what we are saying. For 3 months, and then now you cool your heels there, and then you can think about your life and whether it is that in the event that in the future you will be called to do 1, 2, 3, and you choose to do or not do it, that this could be actually your residence for the next foreseeable future. Do you understand?
I understand. My question is, who do some people think they really are? Because the law has spoken, the judiciary has pronounced itself on a matter. At the end of the day, all you need to do is show up, let the court hear you, present your evidence, or explain to the court why you didn't show up, or you didn't pay the amount you've been told. You choose not to.
You were in Nairobi. Do you understand? You were in Nairobi when this was happening.
Yes.
When the court said, pay these guys, you were in Nairobi. Now, for whatever reason, you chose not to pay them, even after the court pronounced itself on what you must do.
Yeah.
You entered, you went to your house. You opened the door. You packed suitcase. You came out of your house. You locked the door. You entered car, or is it Uber? I don't know. You now did, you went to airport. Abi, does aeroplane pick people from their house nowadays? Mbano. You entered, you climbed plane. Plane did, you entered, you came down in Dubai.
Dubai, yeah.
You now finished your business in Dubai. You still now went to your hotel, packed your bag, entered plane, climbed plane, flew again to America. Entered car. Car took you to airports. You entered airports, climbed plane again, went to America. Then you now reach America. You said, I'm sick. Okay. Judge said, it's me. You look at me and said, I'm not normal. I'm mad. I don't understand.
I don't understand.
Now said you are sick.
But even then, there are the statements that apparently are being made. I am untouchable. We will not pay. There is nowhere you will take me. Now the court has spoken. And you
where
are
I will take you.
You are a guest.
Let me show you where I'll take you.
Exactly.
Now, if only the court was like this across board, do you know what? If it was clear the position the court took, people will not play around with them like this. You understand? Right. So it will be interesting to see what will happen when he decides to climb plane and come back to Kenya. They have said that do not collect 200 and pass go. Come and go to Nairobi, remand. Just, in fact, leave your bag at the gate. That's the court has said. Now, don't irritate me because I'll show you.
The most beautiful thing is when you have a visa for a certain country, it's for a limited period of time, right?
You must come back.
At the end of the day, you must come back. And when you come back, then we shall deal with you.
That's not the only headline on Standard.
Yes, let's continue.
Saba Saba, police perfect brutality is what the headline says. Police bosses claim operation prevented violence, but observers say it effectively locked down the country. Did it not just that yesterday felt like a public holiday? I did not know that children did not go to school. I just heard my doorbell ringing and somebody came to look for my son. And I said, what's wrong with you? That is in the afternoon when people should be in school. Around 2, 3.
Yeah.
Why are you not in school? The boy looked at me and said, Saba Saba.
Saba Saba
The expectation is that it's a public holiday. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So what have you done where you don't allow people to move when you're trying to inhibit a situation whereby protests or marches or whatever will take place? Is that you essentially instill something in people's minds where they say, hey, we're not moving. Even EVE had disappeared like the morning mist at noon. At some point. People knew it was a holiday.
Yep.
So is it counterproductive where you say things are going to go on as normal, but then you set up roadblocks around different parts of the country, so then people are not allowed to pass or go to work?
True.
So then, it seems, it's weird to me.
Someone asked me the question yesterday. So who was protesting yesterday? Who was on Maandamano yesterday? Was it Kenyans or was it the security agencies?
It's true.
Because what exactly did they achieve yesterday?
Yeah.
What exactly did they achieve yesterday? Even the individuals they are arresting yesterday, because they did what exactly? You block people from going to their places of work. Why?
People couldn't move freely, and then we were just kind of anxious, like what's going to happen? What's going to happen next?
Yeah. If you heard everybody who was speaking yesterday was saying, it is the police who are spreading fear among citizens.
Yeah, it's the thing is that whether they want, this is on order. When you talk about command order, there was somebody who said, shut the thing down, don't allow people.
Exactly.
You have to ask that. So it's very interesting that Kamkunji grounds were the historic grounds for the first Saba Saba movement. That day where people wanted to meet to talk about multipartyism and, a move or a shift in democracy, that it was at Kamkunji grounds that they met the first time.
Yes.
And it was seen as an illegal meeting. And there was bloodshed, and that there were people that were beaten, taken, whatever the case may be. And so that's how Kamkunji became historic. Just reading through that yesterday and just looking into the details of how that happened, and then that almost every Saba Saba since then, that it was at Kamkunji grounds that the commemoration of that day then was done. Yesterday, our reporter Francis Ontomwa was at Kamkunji, and you know what is there? Turf.
Beautiful turf.
Sports grounds, beautiful grass. It's maybe commemorative site, but normally people would have met here and commemorated the day, but now it's been changed into a sports ground. From Saba Saba venue to sports ground. That is what Kamkunji is right now. All right.
Is this the place where at some point Sonko said they smeared it with...
Not Sonko said. Sonko sent his boys. To do that.
To do that thing, yeah?
Yes. Same place. Okay. Because at that time, Raila Odinga and his brigade, group were going to meet at Kamkunji. Big test for Ruto's funding model amid record intake, rising debt. This is also a story that we look at today on page 4 of the Standard. And there's that story. High Court orders Kerichi to give himself up, go straight to prison for 3 months. Apparently, he visited a hospital on the 16th of June. And he was given paracetamol to treat a headache.
Okay.
On the 16th of June. What's today's date? 8th of July. Crazy headache. Anyway, 3 seek orders to kick out head of public service Koske. Who are the 3? The 3 petitioners have moved to court seeking to have the head of public service Felix Koske declared unfit to hold public office. Shadrach Kimeli, Elisha Kiprop and Stephen Siringewo, in a case filed at the High Court in Kapsabet on Monday, accused the Chief of Staff of abusing his powers and office by engaging in the 2027 political campaigns.
They're right.
They're right. Actually, if you're going to follow the Constitution,
they're right.
We're not even talking about political affiliation. If you're going to follow the Constitution and the law of the land, they're right.
Yeah. And many others still actually live.
Yes. Yeah. If based on that. Ruto Party deploys embedded North script at all Kalau polls. That's going on. Kenya and Saudi Arabia sign a deal to curb abuse of workers. Really? Well, it's about damn time. And I hope that it's actually followed. Excuse me. I have used harsh words this morning. But I think too many a Kenyan have shown up beaten, tortured, and or in a box over this thing. And it has been this country where it has been the most in terms of occurrences, where people go, young girls. I told you about how taking my mum back to the airport at 3 a.m. and you see a line of girls. And the person who brings them to the airport just drops them at the gate and doesn't look back. You don't know what their fate is going to be. You don't know what they're going to go and meet. Now, coming in from Saudi and the people who've been, the stories that we've heard of what has happened to them, you don't play. A country like the Philippines, they know. There are people who go, and most of the au pairs that we hear are in the Middle East are from the Philippines.
True.
But the country knows where their people are and what they're doing. That they've signed a deal to curb the abuse. It's about time.
You see, it's a deal between governments. My concern is, do the people hiring Kenyans there understand this deal? Do they know what they are required to do? Because here you'd find Kenyans are raising concern. Kenyans are aware of what is happening in Saudi Arabia, right? But is the population that require these services understand what it is they ought to do and even what this deal means to them? Because if this message does not get to them, then perhaps we're doing nothing. Because it has to be scaled down. It has to get to the people who seek these services from Kenyans.
It's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
So it's good that we have the deal, but let's escalate it and ensure that each and every single person who requires these services has a copy and is made aware of what this deal says.
I agree. Aleki has made a correction and he's right. Where apparently it was that former Governor Sonko and whatever did his thing was at Jacaranda.
Jacaranda, okay.
It was Jacaranda. Thank you, Aleki, for that correction. It's true. Families demand answers over death of friends, as they should. Don't just kill my people and I don't ask. 2 former PO agency officials sentenced over fake certificates. Hey, God. Izakale, I see you. HIV preventive drugs shortage puts infants at risk of infections. There's a problem with this drug story, especially with the ones that we heard of coming out as fake in the market. So that needs to be looked into. Linda Mwananchi set to name Sifuna's running mate and a new party. That's how we have gone very fast like that? Yeah. Okay. How proposed reforms in funding of agriculture will affect farmers? That's one to look into. On the opinion pages, Faith Wekesa talks about goons, politicians' monster that will be hard to control in the future. I keep saying, if you're walking down the street and you find an animal that looks like a puppy, a nice puppy, it's not being fed, you bring it home. And you say, oh, look, what a cute puppy. Let's feed it. Let's give it milk. Let's give it a warm bed to sleep in.
Yes.
It's cute. It starts to shed. It's fluffy. You even sleep with it in the night. Oh, cute, nice. Feed it. Take it on walks with you. It becomes a part of you, right? Until one day, it's a hyena.
Yes.
Hey, you thought it was a puppy. Be careful. The strays you take off the road.
And it eats you while laughing.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about. Get yourself a copy of The Standard today. Get yourself a copy of the e-paper, www.standardmedia.co.ke.
The Daily Nation has the headline on Saba Saba, and police say roadblocks on highways leading into Nairobi City Centre would protect public order. I didn't say any lack of order, so I don't know what exactly they were protecting, but anyway. Now, Ruto aids and 292 million shillings spying software row that won't go away. Also, there is spying software that is supposed to look into you, and it costs 292 million shillings. I don't know who participated in that, because Mimi, I did not. Because it is public money that is being used to purchase these things, right? So we should be included. So there is that as well. So Mary Wambui loses control of Glee Hotel over 8 billion shillings debt.
To who?
Tutaangalia iko page 12. Okay. Bado tuko kwa page 1. Page 1 ndio bado tuko. So economic pain. The Kenya Private Sector Alliance estimates a day of nationwide protest cost the retail, transport and banking sector about 3 billion shillings, with the government also projecting 6 billion shillings in lost revenue. If the government had left people to go to their places of work, if police provided security and there was normal business going on, private sector would not have lost 3 billion shillings and the government would not have lost 6 billion shillings. So in essence, what you're saying is 9 billion shillings was lost yesterday because the police woke up in the morning, blocked roads and told people, wewe naenda wapi? Tafadhali rudi mahali wewe umetoka.
Thank you, please.
So who exactly is to blame? The very same government. So business was paralyzed and traders incurred heavy losses as most businesses in Nairobi city centre were closed for fear of looting. And schools were equally closed. You see that child you're talking about?
Yeah.
This is what happened. He's among the thousands of learners who are losing valuable study time following precautionary closures by schools whenever there are protests, with yesterday's disruption also affecting some learning institutions in Nairobi that ask students to stay at home.
Yep.
Yeah. Mimi nione askari kwa barabara.
Ungestay at home pia.
Ati mtoto aende Weya.
True.
I will homeschool them for that day. Yeah, so page 2 has expounded on the Maandamano or Saba Saba protest as well. Now you go to page 4 and it is arrests, empty streets and closed shops define Saba Saba anniversary. So that is a pictorial of police chasing individuals as well, picking up people, arresting them. And at least here we see there are... So if you look at page 4, look at page 4. And in page 4 you can see we have a barrage of police officers. So some are uniformed, some are not.
Yeah.
Please tell me who's a police officer among those with masks and in civilian clothing. And did they identify themselves while picking up this man? So is this an arrest or an abduction?
You know those
is
jokes
this police working with goons?
Yeah. How many blondes does it take to fix a light bulb? How many police does it take to arrest a goon?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have also just a pictorial of State House was not State House. Parliament was no-go zone.
Yeah.
Because of the barricade, that is the razor wire that was there. And you go to page... Go to page 6 as well, talks about Saba Saba Heroes Day. Today's protest mirror 1990 struggle. So 1990 struggle, 2026, pretty much the same thing. It is illegal. We will arrest you. We will beat you up. We will close down. So what happened in the 90s and what is happening in 2026 is pretty much the same thing.
Indeed.
We've not learned anything. Now, Justice Tunya leaves complex judiciary legacy. So, retired High Court Judge Justice Godfrey Omondi Tunya has died. Chief Justice Martha Koome announced Monday, bringing a close to a judicial career that spanned Kenya's transition from one-party rule to constitutional democracy. To the family and friends, tunasema poleni sana, and to the man who served us, we give him his flowers. We give him his flowers. So as well, Saba Saba Day has been expounded in page 6. So from page 1 to page 6 is all about Maandamano. When you get to page 11, hospitals reject steep cuts amid row over inherited NHIF claims. So some hospitals were offered barely 10% of verified claims after years of waiting. Do you remember NHIF?
Yes.
Ilienda home. Cindy was sent parking.
Yeah.
Because now we had SHA. And hospitals were not paid. There was debt that was pending. Pending bills is a reality in hospitals. So despite verified claims, they've only been paid 10% of what they are owed.
Alar?
And they are saying, lazima iwak. Yes.
Okay.
And so that means if you go to hospital today, what will they tell you? We are unable to offer these services. Why? Because we've not been paid. Exactly. Yeah, so student unrest spreads as school fires rock Nyanza. Inaendelea?
Ala? Si tulirudi tu juzi jamii.
So that is St. Joseph's Seminary School in Molo, Nakuru County on June 3rd. Now, a wave of student unrest has swept through secondary schools in Nyanza, leaving dormitories destroyed, schools closed, and authorities investigating a string of fire incidents and violent protests. So the latest incident occurred Monday at Nyabiase High School in Bobasi County, where students staged a violent protest, pelting teachers with stones and setting a dormitory ablaze.
I'm not laughing. I'm just because I don't know what to say. 7,300 school heads went to Mombasa for a week while learners were on the midterm break.
Yeah.
What did they resolve?
Do they even know where the problem is at?
I'm just asking, surely, that you all went and stayed in this place, spent all the money that you did. That's not even the issue. But that you spent time, and that you should have come up with a solution. And then you come back from it.
And this is what we see. Now, on page 12, race against time on poll reform proposals. So among proposals being considered is giving IEBC prosecutorial powers in election offences case.
Really?
Yes. So the National Assembly's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee is racing against time as it considers various proposals made by the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission ahead of the 2027 elections. I have a simple question, right?
There we go.
I have a simple question. We are not in an electioneering period. No one should be campaigning.
According to the IEBC.
According to the IEBC. What it is we are seeing right now is it campaigning? Is it not? wajinga walisha Kenya. It's not me who said that, it is the president who said that, right? So with IEBC and the powers that they do have, working hand in hand with the Attorney General, with the ODPP and the DCI investigating all that has been happening in the country, what has IEBC done to stop that?
But that's why I laugh. Because you yourself have declared a period is going to run from May 29th until August 7th.
Yeah.
You said that. You made it clear. So then maybe you also need to define the parameters around which we would then say this is an election period.
Yeah.
Or tell us what campaigning actually means. Because everything that I see, doesn't matter on which side it is, everybody and their uncle is campaigning at the moment.
Yes.
So if you're now looking to give IEBC prosecutorial powers or investigative powers in that case, how about they start with the one that's right here in front of their nose today?
Exactly. Exactly. So even if we're talking about prosecutorial powers, I'm like, these people have surrendered their power and perhaps they don't know what exactly they are dealing with. Giving them prosecutorial powers does not mean they will stop the bad habit, because as we speak, the law stops political parties from campaigning.
IEBC should just eat their omena for themselves and leave the rest of us alone.
Yes.
Because if you decide that you're going to stand on business and just leave it. Seriously.
Yeah.
Just stop this thing. Oh, we think that. Then, right in the middle of the storm, you don't even have as much as an umbrella.
Yeah.
No.
You can do better. IEBC, you can do better. And it is not a request, it is a demand, because you must. Twende the star.
Izakale is asking kama ulikuwa umefika page 3.
Izakale. Sijali. Mambo ni mengi, masandi machache.
Former AG Muturi endorses Kalonzo to face Ruto in race for top job. Okay, Star, catch up. This was a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
But okay, senior opposition leaders quietly rallying behind former VP. That what we see. I think I see what the Star is doing here in terms of bringing that reality to the fore. And then who says really that a headline has to be the news of the day? I get it.
Yes.
So I take that back. More trouble for drivers as new bill proposes annual emissions tests, and Kofi Annan Foundation warns Kenya faces 84% risk of pole violence. 84%. Remember that Kofi Annan was one of the gentlemen in 2007-2008 that was called in to broker a deal in Kenya at that time, and had a sit down with Raila Odinga and Mwai Kibaki. Kofi Annan, that man.
Yeah.
He did. And so now that foundation, which he set up, even after his death, may he continue to rest in peace, is one of the ones that says, come on, guys, from what we see, if you don't nip this thing in the bud, we are going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Gentle 1-ton tusk jumbo dies after 50 years in Amboseli, Savo. Yeah, he was quite a fantastic animal to see. And then, of course, there is the low-key Saba Saba across Kenya as police seal off the CBD, and that's just reported on the front page as well. Many stories in the Star this morning. Vote of confidence as foreign investments more than double. This Kenya's FDI rising and strong is what the Star reports this morning as well. Okay, some of the stories that we're looking at today. And that's what it looks like, guys. Very good morning to you. 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembur. Reports have emerged that some residents of Ol Kalau in Nyandarua County are being asked to surrender their IDs before receiving money and other items allegedly distributed during campaigns for UDA candidate Mushina Nyaga ahead of next Thursday's by-election. In a video circulating on social media, Nakuru East MP David Gikaria says the ID cards are being collected only to identify beneficiaries of the cash distributions and not to interfere with the electoral process.
Hakuna ID, hautaitishwa ID na hautaitishwa hata ile kadi ya kura. Na kuskani ya nini? Sasa kuskani kitu. Tulia. Sinimwambia mimi nimepewa 250,000. Hiyo ni ajano, sio? Leo nimepewa nada 250,000. Wananitisha, nataka kujua, je, uliongea na wapiga kura wa Gezima na Nyakyambi? That is why they are asking for your ID.
Speaking to residents angered by the move, Gikaria says he has been given 1.2 million shillings to distribute along with gas cylinders ahead of the by-election.
Jana, sawa, one time. Na ndio nawaambia ukisema one time, wako na mkutano yao pale chini, henda hapo ndio inakufaa, sio? Tunasema hivi vijana. Jana tulikuwa hapa. Jana tukasikizana. Nikaita mikutano ngapi? Kuna mtu alifukuzwa? Kuna mtu yote alifukuzwa? Lakini mimi nilikuwa na 250 ya mikutano ya jana. Watu wakajaa. I had to go home and get another 800,000. Jana peke yake hapa kwenu nilitumia 1.2 million.
Meanwhile, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has alleged that residents are being required to hand over their ID cards in exchange for free gas cylinders and mattresses distributed by pro-government leaders. In a statement posted on his X account, Gachagua claims the exercise is intended to prevent some residents from voting in next Thursday's by-election. The DCP party leader has urged residents not to surrender their IDs, saying they are essential for voter identification on polling day. In other news, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has called for the immediate and unconditional release of all those arrested during yesterday's Saba Saba protest, saying peaceful demonstrations are protected under the Constitution. In a statement, Kalonzo also called for investigation and disciplinary action against police officers accused of violating the rights of protesters. Meanwhile, Nairobi Regional Police Commander Isa Mohamud said the protests in the capital were largely peaceful, with 10 people arrested for various offences. He also dismissed allegations linking the police to abduction cases.
So we have held a serious consultation with the farmers here, and this is part of what
the IEBC has assured Kenyans that the voter register remains intact, saying the temporary disruption of its online voter verification portal is the result of a routine ICT systems upgrade. The clarification follows public concern after users attempting to verify their voter registration on Tuesday received a search results not found message when they entered their ID numbers, sparking fears that their details had been removed. In a statement, the IEBC said the disruption is due to a routine upgrade of its ICT systems aimed at improving the reliability, security, and performance of its digital services. The upgrade has temporarily affected the online voter verification portal, voter transfer services, and request for changes to voter registration details. However, the Commission says voter registration at its 290 constituency offices, Huduma centers, and the Customer Experience Center at Anniversary Towers in Nairobi is continuing as normal. The IEBC has assured the public that online services will be restored once the maintenance exercise is complete. And that's the news where I'm Sheila Tembur.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used for everything and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, "Staki kuongea today." Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning, and thank you for keeping it here with us. It's 8 minutes after 7 o'clock on this 8th day of July. That's it, in verse 8th of the 7th, and it's 8 past 7. Let's see how we can keep doing this every day. Okay, Karibu Sana, and thank you for being in the Situation Room this morning. And we get into conversation at this hour. Audience on KTN is here. We're still live on our streams, YouTube, Facebook, and on X, and we continue around terrestrial radio, around the region, around the country, and for those who tune in different parts of the world today, thank you for being in the Situation Room this morning. I'm going to be looking at Game Plan 2027, and it's essentially then what it does portend at this time. When we look into the intrigues, the different things that we've been seeing of meetings and of coalitions and endorsements, and what essentially they could mean. Are there cracks in the opposition? What is actually the opposition? Okay, we're going to get into all of that with KANU spokesperson Tony Gashoka, and he's here with us this morning. Tony, good morning.
Good morning, my dear. How are you today?
Very well. How are you doing?
Mzuri sana. Kwanza nikikuja hapa, kitu ya kwanza ni kusema watu wa KANU tigiza kidole. You know one thing, you know KANU is now the symbol of the one-term movement. You know, everybody says one term. Na katika KANU is it tingiza kidole.
That's where you started. All right. As you said that, Dennis is in Monrovia or in Liberia this week.
Yes. And as we talk about Monrovia, it's named after a U.S. President, James Monroe. But if you look at the country, Liberia is interesting because it is the oldest republic in the continent, 1847, and released slaves of African Americans come back and say we want to form a country that we belong to. If you look at even the flag resembles the American flag. Also another first female elected president, Sirleaf Johnson, comes from Liberia. But the problem we get this morning, the one who climbs a good tree deserves a push. How would you interpret it?
You know, Martin Luther King said that only when it's dark enough can you see the stars. And the thinking is the same, that sometimes you need to look on the opposite to see the other side. And when at night all looks dim and it's gloomy, but you look up and the floor of heaven is full of the moon and the stars. You see brightness. So I see the opposite of this. I see brightness. I see opportunity. I see actually look beyond what is in front of you. Is what I would say.
Well said, well interpreted. Yeah, looking beyond what is obvious.
Yes.
Indeed. So,
and that is why Kanu is important, because we see what is not obvious. you know, I just want to be clear about this, and as we move on to the day, Kanu is a member of Azimio la Umoja. He's a founding member. And in Azimio la Umoja, we have Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper, who is the party leader. And then Uhuru Kenyatta is the chairman of Azimio la Umoja, and Kanu is a founding member. And the Secretary General of Azimio la Umoja is Karuri Omondi, who comes from Linda Mwananchi. So why I'm saying this on is that as alliances are built, as we will discuss later, you will see what role Kanu will be playing within the larger Azimio alliance and so forth.
Okay, well, we'll look into that for sure, because it'll come into play, especially now when we're talking about opposition politics and whatever the case may be. But apart from the Kanu spokesperson, you are an active citizen and you've been involved in making sure that whatever goes to the courts remains public knowledge and understanding. And so how has that been over the last couple of days with the petition that you took to court?
What happened was the government declared that they will sell 20% of their shares in Safaricom PLC. And in January, as a petitioner, I went to court to question how the government decided to do this, the propriety, the price, and the how. And when we were in the court on the 23rd of March, Lawrence Mugambi gave us an order of status quo stopping the sale of Safaricom until this case was being heard. But Parliament went ahead outside the provisions of the status quo order, discussed and approved the sale of Safaricom. We then were unhappy with this and went again back to the High Court, and the Honourable Chief Justice constituted a bench of 3, who then had us and gave conservatory orders, stopping everything. And in fact, the effect of their conservatory orders was to take effect from the 23rd of March, meaning they reversed the approval of Parliament, which had been given on the 31st of March. And therefore, the status quo was excellent. But the government then sought to appeal the orders of conservatory orders at the Court of Appeal. And when they went there, they went irregularly because, first of all, we were to be heard on the 29th of this month past, and we were to be given a proper order as to the status of the substantial hearing. But the Court of Appeal lifted the conservatory orders, giving the government a window to be able to sell the Safaricom before the determination of the matter in chief at the High Court. So our concern was, how can the Court of Appeal intervene in a matter before the High Court, a bench of 3 judges who have had and are about to give a ruling on the 17th of August as to the future of Safaricom Vodacom deal, yet the Court of Appeal lifts just the conservatory orders in a period very suspiciously to be able to allow the government to go ahead and sell. So as a consequence, the government sold it in the middle of night, and Kenya lost an important strategic asset, which was earning the government between 16 to 17 billion annually in terms of revenue for partly 240 billion. So in our contention...
But just part of it.
Yes.
It's the government stake. We're not talking about all the shares. It is a part of the government stake.
Yes, but the controlling share of the government stake. You see, one of the reasons we raise concerns about these international deals which are made by government is because of corruption. If you look at Goldenberg, it was a deal that dealt with external forces. If you look at Aglo Leasing, it was a deal that was actually externalized so corruption could take place. If you look at JKIA with Andani, the same issue is government comes up with these mechanisms to evade the Auditor General, Controller and Auditor General, so that the money which is being paid is paid to foreign parties, and then those foreigners pay commissions on the side. And a lot of the corruption is actually externalized and hidden outside the reach of the eyes of the controller of budget, the Auditor General, and Parliament. So I am just saying that Safaricom was undersold. It should have been at between 59 to 80 shillings a share, according to our expert valuation. And also, it should have been held in the custody of Kenyan people. For example, you secure certain board seats. Who is going to be the chief executive officer? Who is going to sit on the board in order to safeguard the country's strategic interests. It's like the way the Europeans have got Airbus to contrast with Boeing. You have strategic interests that the European Union needed in terms of aircraft. So Kenya had a strategic asset in Safaricom, which we're now giving up to the hands of Vodacom and so forth. But that being said, we are back in the court on the 17th of August this month, and we are actually, it's in August, so it's actually next month, and they are going to rule on the substantial matter. The Court of Appeal did say in their ruling that the court can still decide whether or not this was legal or constitutional.
By then would have been a bit too late, isn't it?
Well, they argue, yes, it will be late, but they say that those shares can revert and compensation can come. But, you know, obviously, this is a situation of trying to justify what they did. But where we are saying as the opposition is we've got the powers in the future of caveat emptor, where a new government can be able to actually penalize the people who bought this thing in an unconstitutional way and be able to ensure that it reverts to the Kenyan people. There are those things that governments can do to reverse injustices. You remember with KICC, the government of Mwai Kibaki was able to reverse it and return it to the Kenyan people. The intention of the new government coming up next year will be to reverse this illegal Safaricom transaction and return it to the Kenyan people.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's one to watch and to look at. And then probably what has gobbled up the mind space of a lot of people in the country at the moment is this political, arena that everybody's playing in at the moment. You seem to be sure that Kanu is making a comeback. And if that's the case, the question is that where did Kanu go in the first place?
Well, the late Raila Odinga, when he was alive, was working to build the broad-based government. And during that time, as if you remember, he brought in ODM to help William Ruto's government. There was also the entry of 4 ministers from Uhuru Kenyatta's backyard, Mutahi Kagwe, Liki Nyanjui, and Kabogo, and others who joined the government were seen to be signaling a broader-based government at the time. And at that time, Kanu was part of those discussions of could there be a broad-based government where Raila Odinga was involved in order to be able to stabilize the country after the Gen Z uprising of the 24th of June. Now, since Raila Odinga died, he died with those dreams. And many of those things shattered, including the birth of Sifuna. Sifuna is a product of the death of Baba. So is Gachagua. And so is Kanu. A lot of political realignment has taken place once the mighty Raila Odinga has left. And that political space is being occupied by new dynamics. Obviously, you heard at the house of George Natembeya the other day that there is a decision by Western leaders led by George Natembeya, Jack Wamboka, Kalasinga Majimbo, and so forth, to form a party which Edwin Sifuna will join to realign the Western region. This is part of the political realignment that shows the death of ODM. Because Sifuna will not just form a new party, he will live with ODM orphans. Many people will join him in the new outfit, and that will signal a realignment in what was traditionally ODM. Kanu will play a major role in the North Rift and up from the Nakuru River. If Kanu is running candidates across Rift Valley, you will not be surprised a big chunk, including 30 to 40% of Rift Valley, may vote against UDA. If you add that then to what is developing in terms of the realignment of the Uhuru Kenyatta element, where Jubilee is now a major player in the opposition, and Uhuru Kenyatta is said to be, supporting a lot of the younger upcoming people. That means the broad-based government, as envisioned by Raila Odinga, died with Raila Odinga, and so William Ruto has been abandoned and left actually with very few partners. Politics is about plus, not minuses. What are you adding to your coalition, and what are you losing? And what I am saying is that the losses to the UDA coalition continue to mount day after day. And that realignment, Kanu was lucky to have been, have the foresight of aligning with Kalonzo Musyoka from the beginning. If you remember the foundation of Azimio la Umoja, there was Azimio where Uhuru and Raila Odinga formed Azimio. And Kalonzo and Gideon Moi formed One Kenya. And it became Azimio la Umoja. And therefore, KANU is a founding member of Azimio. And as KANU spokesman, I can confirm that we are not only part of Azimio, but playing a critical role in determining how and when the ticket of the next presidential decision will be made. And that is one of the reasons I'm here this morning, to give you KANU's position. Because I heard DP and Justin Muturi have already made a position. Justin Muturi of DP suggested and said that he will be backing Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka for the presidency within the united opposition. I can also confirm that KANU, meaning myself, Chairman Gideon Moy, and all of us, our Secretary General and the whole team, are supporting Kalonzo Musyoka to also be the flag bearer within the Azimio coalition. So if you look at now two heavyweights of KANU and DP already making this public, it begins to give you a signal as to where the direction is going. Although publicly the coalition say we have not agreed on a single candidate. Dariri ya mvua ni mawingu.
So we talk about Azimio, and when we talk about Azimio, one asks the question, what is left of Azimio, essentially, because everybody who formed Azimio, some have walked out and have indicated no interest of belonging to Azimio. So as we move towards 2027, what does Azimio stand to push an agenda if the feeling out there is it has nothing to offer?
I don't think you could be more wrong, because the only thing that has changed in Azimio is the ODM of Oburu Odinga has left. The Azimio of Oburu Odinga is not the ODM of Raila Odinga. The ODM of Raila Odinga is in the hands of Edwin Sifuna. The Secretary General of Azimio la Umoja is Karuri Omondi. The spokesman of Linda Mwananchi is Karuri Omondi. Karuri Omondi is holding brief in Azimio for and on behalf of Linda Mwananchi. Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee, led by Fred Matiang'i, is a member of Azimio la Umoja, a founding member of Azimio. KANU is a founding member. Wiper of Kalonzo Musyoka is a founding member. How can you say that the biggest political coalition outside Kenya Kwanza has no people? But it is a misunderstanding. Let's not misrepresent the Kenyan people simply because Baba died and he was great. But political leaders died. Jomo Kenyatta died. Mwai Kibaki died. But the country and the democracy continues. Let us look at the political reality of now. Who are the kingpins of 2027? Yeah, who are the kingpins of 1997? In 2027, we are looking at the rising star of Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. We are looking at the rising star of Rigathi Gachagua. We are looking at the rising star of Edwin Sifuna. These people constitute, to a very large extent, the force and the mass against the William Ruto coalition. And if you look at on the side of the William Ruto coalition, it is William Ruto na Papa Waroma. So if you were to look at the political weight, when you're telling me where are the numbers, you tell me where the numbers of Kenya Kwanza are.
Can we ask the question as to whether these parties themselves, in the way that you're saying this, align with Azimio?
Yes.
When they are walking out in political discourse, or whether they're even sitting in their spaces, do they align with Azimio or do they align with their parties first? Because very rarely in the last take 6 months, when people have talked about a united opposition, Azimio as a name doesn't show up, Tony.
What is going to happen with Okoh, which is going to teach a lesson to the William Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza? In fact, it's become a laughing stock when you look at the crimes that are being committed, electoral offenses that are being committed in Okoh with government goodies and bribery of voters. You know, on the 12th of this month, Linda Mwananchi are hitting Okoh hard. And they are going there to campaign for the opposition candidate to ensure that the opposition win this seat. On the 13th of this month, Kalonzo Musyoka leads the opposition team with Rigathi Gachagua to be able to campaign in Okoh. And that will begin to show Kenyans, indeed and in form, that we are together. Because we are going to campaign and win the Okoh seat, for which William Ruto has gambled everything. The stakes are so high for William Ruto Ruto that if they lose Okalau, the future of Kithure Kindiki as the running mate of William Ruto will be at risk. Now, let me give you these numbers because it is important that I put them down.
Tony, you've answered not my question because I'm asking about this Azimio affiliation, which you still seem to think is a big idea, is a big deal here. Is there an affiliation with Azimio?
Yes,
not?
there is. And the name will change because they are new and emerging partners. But the Azimio coalition is alive. I have said that the Wiper Democratic Party or Patriotic Front is a member of Azimio, and the party leader is Kalonzo Musyoka.
Okay,
I don't know how I can explain further than that. I've told you that the chairman is Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta of Azimio. I've told you that Jubilee, led by Fred Matiang'i, is a senior member of Azimio.
You've also said that Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka are rising stars.
Yes,
I'm trying to resonate with a rising star for somebody who's been in the political arena for the last 40 years against someone you could call a rising star, Edwin Sifuna. I want to understand what you mean by that.
You know, if you look at recent world history, Winston Churchill was 65 when he became the Prime Minister of England and became the leader of the Allied forces. You know, it took Churchill to defeat Hitler. You know, we are dealing with an existential threat in Kenya called Mr. William Ruto. And you need the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka. I look at Kalonzo Musyoka very much the way I look at Winston Churchill. You know, at 65, nobody could see Churchill's greatness. And many times when I look at Churchill, you always ask the question, who would have been Churchill if there was no Hitler? You took Churchill to unite the United States, to unite Stalin Russia, to unite all the forces of the Allied troops against Hitler. We need a figure who can be able to put the opposition together in a way that is cohesive, in a way that is decisive, and a way that is effective to defeat William Ruto. And why I am saying this is that Churchill came from a very small island. England was a small country that was seen that could be crushed by Germany instantly. But it was the resilience of Churchill and the forthrightness of Churchill and the diplomacy of Churchill that put together a coalition. And I am saying to you today as we speak, there is going to be calls for Sifuna to run for presidency. There is going to be calls for Matiang'i to run for the presidency. There will be calls for Kalonzo Musyoka to run for the presidency. Where the opposition will become great is when they are able to resolve that coalition building, come up with a ticket, and KANU supports a ticket of Kalonzo Musyoka and Edwin Sifuna as a running mate. Now, for example, when we say so as KANU, we'll be going into a meeting where others will say differently, and we'll be asked to scientifically or otherwise back up what we are saying. And all I am beginning to say in terms of our formation in the coalition, we have the numbers to defeat the ODM, the Kenya Kwanza ODM broad-based government. Now, look at the numbers, and I want these numbers to be on record. In the 1997 census that was put in, the Kikuyu population was running at around 26% of the vote. It was followed by the Luhya population at 18% of the vote, which was followed by the Kalenjin at 12% of the vote, and the Luo nation at 8%, and the Kamba at 5%. Now, if you look at the numbers as the demographics show, you will be able to see at a Kalonzo wa Munyoro ticket, in terms of coming together, starts at 31%. If Sifuna and company support such a coalition, you are able to get more than 50+1, which is a requirement of the constitution to be able to become the president of Kenya, as well as get half the counties, 25% in half the counties. But the reason I raise this is because William Ruto will have lost the Kikuyu coalition. He will have inherited ODM, a smaller version of ODM, where he'll be gaining around 8%. If you look at the latest TIFA poll that was published 2 months ago, William Ruto was around 24% in that opinion poll, which is about right. If you add his Kalenjin numbers of 12% plus 8%, he's around the 20 to 24 mark. Where William Ruto will struggle is to grow from 24% to 50+1. And what I am saying to you is that the opposition on the other side, with the Sifuna coalition or Linda Mwananchi coalition, plus the united opposition, they go way beyond 50+1.
Sifuna himself has not said that he wants to run for presidency. It's everybody else who's speaking on behalf of Sifuna. I'm headed somewhere. And even as we talk about Azimio as we speak right now, the Azimio as had been formally formed, you look at Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka is seemingly more of united opposition than Azimio. Azimio never really comes up in his conversations recently. And you look at the people that he has paired with. You talk about DP, you talk about Rigathi Gachagua. These are individuals who belong to Kenya Kwanza, and that creates a confusion on what Azimio is really standing for, because a founding member in Kalonzo Musyoka is now in bed with a different partner that were on opposing sides in 2022. And with that now, with Sifuna now appearing here as would be a presidential candidate, himself is not spoken up. So why are we pushing an idea or an agenda that does not exist as at the moment?
I think you're contradicting yourself, and I think the purpose of my being here this morning is to try and explain to Kenyans what is going on behind the scenes, because a lot of Kenyans actually want to know and understand what is coalition building. Coalition building is dynamic, as you say. It is not exact science, but it happens with a game, end game. And I'm saying to you that so far, there are certain partners that constitute what was originally called Azimio la Umoja. You have to give those people a number. There is 2.5 million Kamba votes. You have to write them down and say that that is in Azimio. You must then say that within that same Azimio, there is another coalition partner. And who is the coalition partner coming? Called Linda Mwananchi. And why are they coming? I've told you Karori Omondi is the Secretary General, and he's not there by accident. It was created because a political decision is about to be made. On the 25th of June this month, in Bungoma, there will be a meeting led by Edwin Sifuna of the Western nations. They will start in Kitale and they will end up in Bungoma, upon which a coalition will be formed and a new party will be named. That party will be heading toward Azimio la Umoja coalition. That is what I'm talking about. And they have to be given time to be able to sort out their matters and be able to create their vehicle, which would then embed itself in Azimio la Umoja. Once that is done, Wamunyoro will have finished his political marksmanship by creating DCP, again heading towards the coalition of Azimio la Umoja, where it will find KANU, where it will find Wiper, where they will find Jubilee. Then among this coalition, a presidential candidate will be named to fight Kalonzo. Kalonzo will be the leader to fight William Ruto. And my question then will be, what will the Kenya Kwanza coalition be to fight this coalition? What they will have, if you look at Musalia Mudavadi, very silent and absent, they will have Fort Kenya of Moses Wetangula, and they will have Oburu Odinga, who wants to run for senator of Siaya. So now my question then will be, what will be William Ruto's coalition?
The question is, what position does Karoli Omondi play in Azimio?
He is a Secretary General.
And what role does he play in Linda Mwananchi?
He is a spokesman, the spokesman of Linda Mwananchi.
And even as we talk about political parties and political parties' discipline, one is not allowed to belong to two.
No, the Political Parties Act, my brother, has now allowed coalition making before and after elections. That is part of the reason why a 50+1 rule exists in the Constitution, because no one party or one community can win the presidency. In Kenya, you must form coalitions. And that is why Raila was the expert of coalitions. From the Pentagon, he moved to CORD, from CORD to NASA, from NASA to Azimio, from Azimio, he moved to broad-based. That is just Raila Odinga. Okay. It is normal to be part of it. And all I am saying is that we are building a stronger coalition than that of William Ruto.
All right, let's take a break and then we'll come back and see if these are things that Tony Gashoka has figured out when he's been sitting in his study, or if he's actually been in meetings and heard from people that this is actually the direction that things are going to take, and so that we're not operating on assumption. All right, let's take a break. Tony Gashoka is here with us as the KANU spokesperson, and we're looking at Game Plan 2027. And Tony thinks that things being put together is going to form one big, formidable group that will essentially put President William Ruto to bed. We'll come back and continue with this in a bit. Stay with us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic.
All right, so we're seeing an increase of traffic this morning. It is really busy on the Thika Superhighway this morning. As you come into the city, all the way from the Roiro interchange, coming in from the northern bypass, it's going to come all the way through past Githurai, out towards Kasarani, and then past, before that, past Clayworks, and then through towards Kasarani. Very, very busy this morning as you then get towards the Pangani underpass. There is quite some traffic on Kiambu Road as well. Folks have formed a couple of lanes there, and we know that construction is ongoing, so it's going to cause some traffic as you come through towards Muthaiga Square. That's busy. Into the CBD, everybody's heading this morning, and there is quite some traffic on Langata Road as you head out towards the CBD, and also coming from Karen, that side, and Gong Road is also busy. The southern bypass, however, will provide you with that scenic, no traffic route into the city. All right, so what we look at also, traffic on North Airport Road is a bit sticky this morning. Want to watch, you're going to have to be there for a bit if you're stuck there. But it's moving in some parts, standstill in others. But we'll get out of traffic hour in good time. Let's talk and keep things moving. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Every day, behind the scenes, Kenya Pipeline Company PLC keeps Kenya moving. Now operating as a public listed company, KPC is built to support national development and energy security. From the port of Mombasa to markets across East Africa, KPC powers the transport, storage and distribution of petroleum products. And through KPC Foundation, it continues to uplift communities across Kenya. KPC, now a public listed company, fueling progress for Kenya.
Turn up the heat with endless entertainment on Star Times. Feel every moment of the action as the biggest leagues reach their thrilling finales. Recharge your monthly subscription to unlock a world of endless drama to enjoy Novella E, now available on your Nyota bouquet. Dive into blockbuster movies with the launch of TNT, your new home of big screen hits. And for the little ones, a world of non-stop fun on Cartoon Network, now on Star Times. News, sports, drama, movies, kids, and reality all in one place. All for you. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a StarTimes decoder at any of our deal shops countrywide. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
At 23 minutes to 8 o'clock, we continue our conversation this morning with Tony Gashoka. And we are looking into Game Plan 2027. So this looks all pretty planned out in your mind, Tony.
Well, yes.
And you've said that things are going to happen. People are going to come together. This is what the numbers are going to look like. Are these this is Tony Gashoka's assertions, or are they that this is what everybody can see? Because I can say anything. I can sing in the shower. Doesn't mean that anybody can hear what I'm saying.
The last time I was here, you were grilling me about KANU and what is going to happen with KANU and William Ruto. Then now, you never told me the other day William Ruto will tweet and say that Gideon Moi is funding the opposition or the media.
Well, I couldn't because I don't live in his head. But,
So what I told you then was that KANU made a decision that they will not join the broad-based government of William Ruto. And I told you at that time that many people, including Tony Gashoka here, sat with Gideon Moi, and we agreed that none of us will join William Ruto. Now, I'm saying to you that if you look at the development since I was last here, and when KANU's question was being questioned about KANU's role in joining William Ruto's government, you can see how many things have changed. And those things have not just happened by accident. There are a lot of behind-the-scenes discussions that are going on about how to build a coalition. You cannot play your whole strategy right in front of William Ruto, who anasema atatupanga. Sisi mgoje muone, nitawapanga hawa jamaa. Wacha niseme hapa Spice FM, where William Ruto tutakupanga sisi tunakupanga wewe. Kwa sababu yeye mwenyewe hajui vile tunampanga. I am telling you to be a force that you will never be able to handle. I am telling you the moment KANU runs candidates throughout Rift Valley, 40 to 50% of Kalenjins will vote in KANU. and will not vote in UDM. I am just also telling you the strategy so that you are aware. We are going to rock William Ruto even at home. And I also want to tell you today, when Irungu Kang'ata comes from Murang'a and says, I am supporting the opposition, I'm even a friend of Linda Mwananchi. Tony Gashoka of Kanu is running for governor of Nairobi in Kanu ticket. And he says, I'm also in opposition. Then there is Wamunyoro, who also says, I'm in opposition. Is it an accident that Irungu Kang'ata from Murang'a, Rigathi Gachagua from Njeri and Tony Gashoka on one side, all of us saying that it is one term? These are matters that are going on. What is happening is that these formations did not look like you could not predict Irungu Kang'ata would be Linda Mwananchi. You could not predict that Kanu would be an association with Wamunyoro. And so what I am saying to the country is very soon this will unravel and it will start to happen in the month of August. I have told you that this month there is a critical meeting in Western Province, starting in Kitale, led by Honorable George Natembea of the Tawe movement. The Tawe movement will convert itself into a political party, bringing the larger Bukusu into the opposition in a formation of a new party. That party already has Jack Wamboka, it has Kalasinga, Majimbo, it has got Edwin Sifuna. In fact, the only non-Bukusu in that meeting was Ototsi. Everybody else was from Bungoma. And that meeting will start in Trans Nzoia, go all the way to Bungoma to consolidate the Bukusu vote. The Bukusu constitute 50% of the Luya vote. That is why Wamalwa Kijana was such a major ally of Mwai Kibaki. It is because of the force of the Luya numbers. And once you have the Bukusu together, you neutralize Moses Wetangula. Now that coalition is going to come together with all the other pieces it can assemble from ODM into Azimio la Umoja. On top of that, Ukambani then leaves ODM, which traditionally voted with Raila. It's now in the opposition. Uhuru's led Jubilee has the Kisi led by Matiang'i. Fred Matiang'i. Again, that is in Azimio la Umoja. So you have Rift Valley representation by Kanu. You have Mount Kenya by Wamunyoro and Ilungu Kang'ata and Tony Gashoka. You have got the coming together of the Kisii and the Kamba. All these coalitions are coming against William Ruto. And I am saying to you that the formation of this is leading to the culmination of a single presidential candidate. Now, on the side of the united opposition, J.B. Muturi, who is a principal, has gone public to announce that he and DP will be supporting Kalonzo Musyoka to be the flag bearer. Tony Gashoka and Kanu have also said we are supporting Kalonzo Musyoka to be the flag bearer of that coalition. Others will now speak their positions. In the meantime, Linda Mwananchi is reorganizing itself to come and join the wider opposition. And their leader will be named on the 25th of July, who will be Edwin Sifuna at the age of 44. I am so excited for Sifuna, because Sifuna is emerging as a young, credible individual who has got a lot to offer to this country. And once he is the de facto leader of Linda Mwananchi, he will be the man to negotiate with. Now, you see a situation where we will have Kalonzo Musyoka to become the presidential candidate. Edwin Sifuna could be the running mate of that ticket, and you can actually then be able to negotiate for someone like Rigathi Gachagua to be the prime minister. Now, although he has got his legal problems, which are yet to be determined by the courts, the issue of prime minister will not be on the ballot and therefore can be addressed in the new government through a parliamentary process. When Raila Odinga was the second prime minister of Kenya, Tony Gashoka was the chief of staff in the office of Raila Odinga. And I was able to see how Kibaki and Raila Odinga formed through parliamentary bill the office of prime minister. So with the numbers in parliament, we can create a position of prime minister for Rigathi Gachagua.
With all of this, do you imagine that William Ruto, who you said we will panga, does not see all of these things that you've said?
You see, Africa is littered of the likes of William Ruto. There was a man called Mobutu Sese Seko. Before him, there was a guy called Sid Barre. Before there was Idi Amin. Look, let me tell you, dictators, even Mugabe, dictators and people like that see themselves as the alpha and the omega. When they fall on their own swords, they never see it coming. William Ruto will actually fall so suddenly, he will not even believe it. He surrounds himself. Let me tell you, today's chief campaigner on Okoh is Moses Kuria, who he has fired. Moses Kuria was a former minister for trade, fired by William Ruto. He then became some advisor. He then became jobless after just working a few months. Now he's the point man of Okoh. It shows you how low William Ruto is. William Ruto requires Moses Kuria to win Okoh is laughable. Why am I saying this thing? I'm saying this thing because a strong person projects political strength with the people he associates with, who are the partners of William Ruto, in order for his presidential ambition to be true. If you go to Western Kenya, his campaigns are led by a man called Farouk Kibet. Farouk Kibet is the one who holds all these development meetings, and he's the one parading people around and says, mimi ni Farouk, munataka nirudi hapa, hawa wakabila, hawa nini. Every day in the news, you find Farouk Kibet is the chief campaigner of William Ruto. How many votes can Farouk Kibet add to the basket of William Ruto? William Ruto needs to look outside his basket of Rift Valley in order to add his numbers. And why Kenyans need to understand that the campaign of Ruto is working is not because we are violent, it's not because we cause the kind of drama that Ruto does, it's because we are silent. The Kibaki revolution of 2002 was a silent revolution. It was actually done very quietly under the table. People were laughing at Kibaki and Gilu and Wamalwa, and they were saying, and when the votes were counted, it became the unbogable election of 2002.
Yeah. Tony, in all that we've discussed in this morning is a strategy that the political class is making behind closed doors and making sure they come up with a winning formula. But in all these, whether it is Azimio, United Opposition, whether it is the Tawe movement, where is the voice of Kenyans and what they really want as we push forward? Because everything I've heard so far is so-and-so is coming with the Luya vote, is coming with the Munyoro vote and all that. But where is the voice of Kenyans and things they've been pushing for and the change they want to see in all these conversations? Because that seems to be silent.
I really wish you had joined me at the Bombers of Kenya when we were forming the new constitution. You know, one of the reasons people like me march in Saba Saba, which we marked yesterday, Saba Saba was the calendar day that commemorates the multi-party democracy. Multi-party democracy in Kenya was critical because we made a decision as a country that we'll be expressing ourselves through political parties. So political parties are formed to be the voice of the people, for the people, by the people. And so when I speak about Wiper, I am speaking about the Kamba Nation. Those are people. When I'm talking about Linda Mwananchi, I am talking about the ODM fallout or orphans of Baba. Those are people. When I am talking about Wamunyoro, I am talking about 7 million votes. Those are people. So I don't understand whether we are speaking Swahili or English. I am talking about the vehicle that the Constitution allows us to assemble under, which is political parties. So parties come together and form coalitions for the purposes of fighting and acquiring governmental power. And there is no other constitutional means other than anarchy that you can be able to go and fight for power. So I am describing for Kenyans so that they understand this morning at this beautiful platform of SpiceFM how those parties, which they are members of, are coming together to give them the opportunity to vote via the general election of 10th of August. Now, these political parties, under the Political Parties Act, have to come together in a coalition. But before they do that, they have to clean their houses and put their houses in order. And that is why you are having a problem. There were so many people who wanted to emerge as the leaders of Linda Mwananchi. I've seen you've hosted here Babu Owino. And when I came here and I told you I'm going to win Nairobi governor, you told me that Babu Owino is ahead. And I told you Babu Owino is going nowhere. But you didn't want to hear me then. Let me tell you now today. Under what coalition we rerun. And,
so I hear what you're saying.
So what I am saying is, if you are Babu Owino and you do not calculate your strategic political alliances well, you may find that you are not only partyless, but you are coalitionless in order to be able to put the numbers together to run and win Nairobi.
Tony, let me ask the question again that Dennis asked. You're talking about coalitions as though that is the panacea to the problems that people are looking into today. The question is, what is to be delivered to the people of Kenya today who are looking for a difference in leadership and governance? Coalitions and parties aside, Tony Gashoka wants to run for Nairobi governor. What are the problems that you see in Nairobi, or what are the issues that the 5 million people of Nairobi would want Tony Gashoka to sort?
You know, Nduh, you've got to sort out your invitation properly. When you asked me to come to SpiceFM, You told me that there are cracks in the opposition, and you want me to expound about those cracks. You didn't tell me to come and discuss Nairobi. I'm quite happy to discuss Nairobi and put my manifesto. I am talking, and please hear what I have to say.
Tony,
I am saying that people matter in politics. If there was no Churchill and there was no Roosevelt, they could not have defeated Hitler. And the reason the personal relationship between Hitler, between Churchill and Roosevelt was important was because they needed to come together, an unholy alliance, an unlikely alliance against Hitler. People in the building of coalitions and in the building of political power matter. It matters that Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is a decent man. It matters that Edwin Sifuna is a decent man and has emerged.
It also matters the people who are actually going to go to talk together. So my question is simple.
You are asking
Tony,
me.
my question is simple. I'm asking you that where does the voice of the people fall in all of this coalition? Whether there are cracks in the opposition, whether the opposition is united, whether it's a whole Kumbaya party.
Can I?
No, my question is simple, Tony. My question is simple here, and I'm asking. You need to speak to the mic. You need to speak to the mic. No, Tony.
You cannot put a question to me.
You need to answer the question.
But let me answer the question.
The question is simple.
I am here to answer, or you answer it.
What
I am saying to you is this: Edwin Sifuna comes from the people. He doesn't come from Tony Gashoka. I didn't create Edwin Sifuna. He was created by Linda Mwananchi and the people. They have been all over Kenya.
Okay, don't get triggered. Don't get triggered, Tony. Just calm down. Just calm down so we can have a constructive. Let's have a constructive conversation. I'm not asking who the people. No, I'm not asking who the people are. I'm asking, like Dennis asked, where is the voice of the people in all of this?
I think let me paraphrase it and look at it this way. When you look at political parties, for instance, let's talk about Azimio. Azimio is formed by different political parties, and with Azimio there are delegates of Azimio, right? Now, when did Azimio as a party sit down with its delegates to listen to where it is they want to go next? Because when all these decisions are being made, it is seen from the public eye that it is the political class sitting in a boardroom and making decisions for political parties that belong to the people.
I don't think that the public. I don't think that the public.
Where are the people in all these conversations?
I don't think that the public eye is you or Nduh. You are not the public. You are reporters who are meant to ask us as politicians to explain ourselves. And I'm answering to you. Yes. I'm saying that the Linda Mwananchi came up with an idea. They went and sold it kwa wananchi. Walianza Kitengela. Wakatoka huko wakaenda Kangemi. Wakatoka Kangemi wakaenda Thika. Wakatoka Thika wakaenda Kisii. Wakatoka Kisii wameenda sasa paka Western Kenya at the end of this month. Wameenda Mombasa. Wakiuliza wananchi wa Kenya kama wanaunga mkono Linda Mwananchi. Wananchi wa Kenya wameendelea kuwaunga mkono. And because of that, Linda Mwananchi becomes a force of the people because of those consultations. And because of that, leadership emerges from Linda Mwananchi. When the Gen Z movement hit Kenya, people were saying, who is their leader? They are leaderless. What is going to happen? And that is why the whole thing went down, because the momentum never identified leadership. And I'm trying to tell you from a political strategic perspective that whatever is people driven must have leadership. There has to be a Churchill. There must be a Churchill to fight Hitler. There must be Roosevelt coming together with Stalin to form the Allied forces. And I am telling you, and you're not hearing me, that there is the Kisii people have chosen Matiang'i to be their voice. The Kamba people have chosen Kalonzo Musyoka to be his voice. Now, if you tell me to prove that, how do you want me to prove it? Because I can only prove it in an election. And that is why coalitions come together and assemble parties and leaders within those parties and then offer themselves to the public for that referendum by the public in elections. But I am saying to you, nobody is just picking names from a hat. The way it's been put to me is as though Tony Gashoka amekaa pahali kwa boardroom na yeye ndio amechukua jina ya Sifuna. Kwani I am closer to Eugene Wamalwa than I am to Edwin Sifuna. But the Luhya nation wants Edwin Sifuna. So it is not Tony Gashoka who is choosing Sifuna. It is the people of Ingo and the people of Western Province. It is not Charity Ngilu is my political ally long before I worked with Kalonzo Musyoka. But the people of Ukambani want to work with Kalonzo Musyoka. There is Maraga, who was a former Chief Justice, who wants to run in Kisii. But the people are choosing Matiang'i. It is those people's expression that it comes together to form a formidable coalition. When I say I am running for governor of Nairobi, Nairobi. I am saying I'm running for governor of Nairobi because the people have to choose whether they would vote for Tony Gashoka or Babu Owino. And when they make that decision, then the opposition will either come behind Tony Gashoka or Babu Owino. And I'm putting it to you that Tony Gashoka is ahead of Babu Owino. That is not to say that Babu Owino is not a person or that the people of Nairobi don't matter. It means that people do emerge from these political opportunities. And those people that emerge then constitute themselves into a corporate, which is called a political party, under the Political Parties Act and under the Constitution of Kenya, because Kenya is a multi-party democracy.
If we look at the opposition as we speak right now, especially with decisions that have been made, you see Justin Muturi of DP has said his weight is behind Kalonzo Musyoka. On the other hand, Martha Karua has said that a decision has not been made, and anyone who's coming out to make a decision is doing that on their behalf. And with that, conversations out here, even political pundits are saying there is seemingly disagreement within the opposition, and perhaps they're not speaking in one voice. What would you say how would that inform or affect the united opposition's push towards picking a single presidential candidate? Because why am I saying that? You realize that Linda Mwananchi has been away. United opposition has been pushing the agenda for a very long time. With the entrance of Sifuna, if he will join the party, how does that affect united opposition moving forward towards the election?
I want to say that the Honorable Martha Karua does not have a bigger voice than JB Muturi. She doesn't have a bigger voice than Kanu in that coalition. She has her voice, and she's entitled to have her view that she's waiting for whatever she's waiting for her to decide whether she will run herself or back someone else. And that she's fully entitled to do. But what I have said is that Kanu, from a position of knowledge, has endorsed Kalonzo Musyoka within the united opposition. I also can tell you here that we have consulted very closely with JB Muturi and the DP party, and we also know that they are supporting Kalonzo Musyoka as the opposition. Informally, we also know what Linda Mwananchi is doing. I've told you their strategies to help each other. I've told you that on the 12th of this month, Linda Mwananchi will be going to Olkalau. ODM has no candidate in Olkalau, but they will be going there to support the opposition candidate, which people will begin to see that we are together, because obviously Linda Mwananchi will be campaigning for a seat to be won by a DCP, which is in the united opposition. After that goes on, you will find that the temperatures start to go up as we come nearer and nearer who will be the team captain. If you remember when Raila was choosing a running mate, this was the same case. Kalonzo Musyoka wanted to be a running mate. Martha Karua wanted to be a running mate. So many people, they were taken through the Serena process. And if you remember at some point, Kalonzo was so annoyed, he went back home to Yatta to rethink what was going on, because coalitions are difficult. The fact that JB Muturi and Kanu are saying that we are with Kalonzo Sifuna ticket now does not mean that others do not have opinions, but it means that we must start this discussion seriously. And if Kalonzo is already attracting the weight of 2 or 3 heavyweights within the coalition, we can only hope he can get more. So by the time we are hitting towards August, there is a consensus, and a consensus is built towards a candidate. In the alternative, another candidate would emerge, and you could tell me who that candidate will be. But my duty this morning is to tell the country that there is no divisions or cracks within the opposition, and to tell them that what we are doing, those who are naming presidential candidates earlier, is to try and avoid this procrastination so that it doesn't become open-ended and that there is no end to this discussion. And what we are trying to do is provoke this discussion, the discussion we are having today. And it is on behalf of the people, not on behalf of ourselves. Because obviously, if we say this and the people reject it, we would lose a general election.
Tony, as a member of Azimio, Kanu is supporting Kalonzo Musyoka. On the other hand, there is as well Sifuna, who's being propped up to come up and run. One asks the question then, where Jubilee as well has its own candidate within Azimio, what is the voice of Azimio as a coalition on who they are supporting as a presidential candidate?
By the way, we have not done that well. And thank you for inviting me here, because these are the opportunities we need to start talking about that coalition. You know, we have been, I think, very much building our own parties. Very few voices have been talking about the wider coalition. I would imagine because everybody in that coalition wants to be number one. And before you're number one, you don't want to talk up the coalition because probably you want to time it when you are very high. I remember when Matiang'i first came from the US, he was a shining star. If I had asked you or Kenyans at that time, everybody said Matiang'i in the sixth because it was looking in his favor. So I agree with you, there is need for more talk about Azimio and what is going on with Azimio. And I think there should be a timeline, and that's what JB Muturi was saying, that by August, we ought to have finished these matters. We need to force this discussion, uncomfortable or comfortable as it may, so that there be an issue. I want to congratulate the people of Western Province, because led by Tawe and Natembea's words, as quoted in KTN as I saw, was that he was telling Sifuna the time of fear has gone. It is a time for us to form a party, to come together and declare our stand. He was saying exactly what I'm saying here, that Sifuna cannot continue swimming in the glory of everything. He has to make a decision where he's going to go and where he's going to plant his spear. And if his spear will be planted in Bungoma, then there will be a fallout and there will be a gain. There will be those who join him and there will be those who don't. Already I saw today Amos Wako, the former Attorney General, saying he's supporting Sifuna. I've seen Boni Halwale from Kakamega saying he's supporting Sifuna. So when Sifuna makes his political stand, there may be those who are in Linda Monanchi who are not happy, like Hamisi the other day, Caleb was saying. So I am only saying that these formations are already embedded, but they are now developing.
Okay. Let's also watch and see. Tony Gashoka is the KANU spokesperson that's been with us this morning. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Asante sana. It's good to be here, and I'll be coming back to discuss Nairobi, because you said I need to come and talk about why I want to be governor, and I'll come with that subject matter, not the one I came today.
We'll see then. Good morning, 8 a.m.
Thank you.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is Daniel. I'm Sheila Timbur. Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, the National Police Service, and Attorney General Dorcas Odor have been summoned to appear before the Kisumu High Court on 21st July to answer contempt of court charges. Justice Alfred Mabaya said the institutions had failed to implement the 25th March orders directing them to establish guidelines on the management of demonstrations within 90 days. The judge saw the failure amounted to disobedience of clear court orders, warning that the absence of regulations leave police without proper guidance when handling public protest.
One disobedience is one too many. It is an affront to the rule of law. It is a breach of Article 10 of the Constitution. Court orders are not suggestions. They are not suggestions to be second-guessed. They are processes of challenging orders that anyone feels onerous. The first to third respondents would not be permitted to operate as if this country has no laws. They are under the laws.
The orders followed a petition by victims of the 2023 anti-government protest in Kisumu who accused police of brutality. In March, the court awarded victims and their families 38.6 million shillings in compensation and directed the government to implement reforms on public demonstrations. LSK Kisumu branch chairperson Dorcas Olwot welcomed the ruling, saying compensation should not replace accountability and called for full implementation of the court's directives.
We are concerned that there are attempts to silence many victims of police brutality with reparations. But we want, and we have the voice of the petitioners who want action, cogent action taken.
Compensation should go hand in hand with accountability. And accountability means that there has to be justice that is done. Somebody must be answerable for what happens to the petitioners behind us. So we ask that investigations must not only be done, but seem to be done.
Still matters court. The Nairobi High Court has ruled that President William Ruto acted within the constitution when he appointed politicians previously associated with the opposition to serve in cabinet. A 3-judge bench dismissed a petition filed by the Katiba Institute and Busia Senator Kia Omtata, who challenged the appointments, arguing that they undermine the multi-party political system. The court ruled that party membership does not disqualify anyone from being appointed to a cabinet position, upholding the appointments of John Mbadi, Wycliffe Oparanya, Opiyo Wandayi, Hassan Joe, and Beatrice Askul, who were associated with the ODM party. The judges further noted that the constitution does not recognize the opposition as a constitutional institution, and therefore the president is not barred from appointing members of opposition parties to government. In other news, the government has formally raised concerns with South Sudan over alleged violations of the rights of Kenyan citizens living and working in the country. Foreign Affairs PS Korir Singoye says Kenya is seeking an explanation for the continued detention of a Kenyan citizen for 8 months without charge, as well as the reported denial of consular access to officials from the Kenyan embassy in Juba. Singoye also expressed concern over increasing attacks on Kenyan truck drivers transporting goods to South Sudan, citing cases of looting, extortion, intimidation, and harassment by armed groups. He further highlighted the case of a Kenyan truck driver who was allegedly assaulted by South Sudanese police officers on the Juba-Nesitu road and is reported to be in critical condition. The Kenyan government has called on South Sudanese authorities to take immediate action to protect the safety, rights, and welfare of Kenyan citizens in the country. And that's the news wire. I'm Sheila Tembur.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption, because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, "Stagi kuongea today." Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership
if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 10 minutes after 8 o'clock, and we continue with those
She's
conversations.
back!
Oh, I dipped. Shameni, I dipped for a minute there.
Yeah.
This is Nduh, N-D-U. So no.
Not with an H, not with an A.
Yeah.
At the end, it's just N-D-U.
Okay. This is the Situation Room. It's 10 minutes after 8 o'clock, and we continue our conversations this morning. And we're going to be looking at the important issue of these tribal politics. And that, you know what, it's not just amongst the politicians. That there are things that are already being said. There's something that has already taken root, even amongst the minds of people. And when we say that we're a woke generation, whereby you say that it shouldn't matter where you're from, or it doesn't actually matter where you're from, that do you want a better country, and that's what you should focus on. So for us to have the tribal conversation is absolutely important. Professor Gitile will join us in a short while, but before that, I have a question.
Ask.
I have an ask. Is it important for politicians or anybody who wants to enter into leadership of Kenya today? I'm not talking about Kenya 40 years ago.
Today.
Of Kenya today, today, 2026, to actually have an agenda that is people-facing. Do you think it's necessary? Is it important to have a people-facing agenda and to say that if it's just me and Dennis closing the space between two atoms, and for people to look at us and then say, yeah, that's the force to go with, or that's the coalition to go with, that's great. But the assumption that if you combine power is enough for people to then say, yes, formidable force, let's go with it. Or is there a necessity of a people-facing agenda?
You know, whichever way you want to look at it and do, even when these forces are being are coming together to have a coalition moving forward, have that winning strategy, right? At the end of the day, where are you going with your strategy? Back to the people. Therefore, the people must be front and center in the formation, in the coming up of the agenda, and convincing as to why the people should trust you and give you that seat. Because you're not getting there to serve yourself, you're getting there to serve the people. And in every decision, therefore, the people must be included. It is why even the Constitution today says what? The people
shall.
You get. If you don't but put people in public participation, what happens? it is declared null and void. There's a reason why political parties today have NDCs. NDCs are the people who belong in that party, and they make decisions together on what is best suitable for them as members of the party. So when we talk about decisions that are being made in boardrooms, right? Without the voice of the people, without the voice of citizens who belong to those political parties, one asks the question, who exactly are you making these decisions for? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Because I shudder. If I had belonged in a political party, then I would want to be included in decisions being made in that political party. Because I'm not only there to be seen, I am there to be heard as well.
I think that we need to dissuade, or Kenyans need to dissuade the notion that their opinions and or their securities don't matter when it comes to the decisions that will be made as to who sits in positions of governance and leadership. Now, when there is a cacophony of voices and opinions, all you hear is noise. You don't hear the harmony, you don't hear the melody, you don't hear the unison. What you hear is noise, and people can hear it too. They need to be in a position whereby they are convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that not you, but what you are going to do in a position of leadership is something that actually pertains to them as a people, because they will give you their power. You have it for a short period of time to then use that power to secure their livelihoods constitutionally. Nothing else. Anything else you do is an adage, or it's value added. So it's great. But that they give you their power, and they say, because all 50 million of us are not able to lead and or govern at the same time, you take that power and resource and you give it to a few people.
We delegate them.
Absolutely. Who will then do it in a manner that upholds the Constitution and also upholds the unwritten rules of integrity and authenticity.
And even well after then do, remember, as the citizens delegate their powers, donate them to you, at the end of the day, they will give it to you based off two things: agenda and trust. Because they give you that position in trust that you will deliver based off that which you told them you would do. Because no Kenyan today would wake up to just give you a vote because they have the vote. It's because they have listened to you. There is an agenda that you came up with, and they said, we trust that you will deliver based off what you've told us. And with that, with us knowing that, there is the back and forth engagement between wananchi and those who seek to be in position of governance and leadership, that people must be carried from the word go.
Smoking,
it is important. It is important because there's a reason why, again, even let's talk about Azimio. When did they last sit to have a delegates conference that would decide that we as Azimio, this is the person we are? If that does not exist, then you're speaking on behalf of who exactly? Because the people have not told you what it is they want.
So it seems as though there's a house, and that everybody is in a different room, and that where the majority of the people are sitting waiting to be addressed, that the folks who are in the different rooms have decided that we don't need to actually address you, that it is the decisions that we will make in our rooms that will actually rule the day. And that we need to get back to the place where there's a recognition that if you are going to call yourself democratic, if you're going to use democracy as an ideology for which you will govern, then it is not possible for you to remove yourself from the agenda of the people, number one. Number two, if there have been calls from a sitting government, it doesn't matter whether you're going to respect them or not, to even say, they cast aspersions as to your agenda. They don't know where you are, and guess what? The truth of the matter is that maybe it's spoken or unspoken, is that it may be said in jest or in acrimony, but the truth of the matter is that an agenda has to be made very clear. It has to be made abundantly clear that this is what you want to do. And so guess what? That's why When people like Jimmy Wanjigi comes and tells you we need to fix the economy, you will never fault him when he says, when you ask later, stand up to be counted for what did you stand for?
Yeah.
You will never have to
That's
wonder.
my agenda.
Thank you.
That's what you preach every day.
You will never have to wonder what it is. When somebody else comes and tells you that for sure we're going to make sure that social justice is top of the agenda.
Yeah. Rule of law,
Sefuna says we will not promise you what we will do, but we will promise you one thing we will not do.
Yeah.
You know that is what they're going to stand for. Even President William Ruto, before 2022, when we were sure that this was going to be an election on the economy, it was very clear that what did they say we wanted to do? Separate the dynasty from the who. And we're going to put money in the hands of the hustlers. Whether they did it or not is not the point.
But there was an agenda.
Do you understand? Is it necessary for people to know you who is coming to tell us that now suddenly out of the ashes the phoenix will rise and this is what we are going to do, and then you don't tell us what you're going to do for the people? It's so many business that we're talking about.
It is. And I think as well, Kenyans, we've gotten to a point where we already know what it is we're dealing with. And we can't afford to remove ourselves from the politics of the day because it does affect us whether we like it or not. If we continue to sit and have these agenda be decided in boardrooms and we're not playing in these boardrooms for us to have our voices heard, then we're losing the point. So question is, what are we doing in our spaces, civil societies, having conversations on what, in my ward, this is what we want. In my constituency, this is what we want. In our county, these are our problems. As a country, these are things that must be done. These are the irreducible minimums that must be done within our small spaces. Start from the MCA level to the MP, to the woman rep, to the governor, all the way to the president. We have to be in these rooms when decisions that affect us are being made. Because clearly, they will not consult you. They will not come to you.
It's true. And, one of the things two things that I actually see in our comments this morning, one that the Realist has made most recently, that thinking about that, the hope is that people will vote on issues and not on these tribal regional conglomerations of whatever the case may be. And that the only way for you to see the importance of that is through these discourse that we have and to say, you know what, this is what the agenda looks like. But then something that Smokey MC Bandit has been saying for the last few weeks is that you cannot expect a change if you don't change the system. You have to change the system. You change the system, and one of the ways that you can do that unequivocally is change your leadership.
True. Change
your leadership, you change the system. You cannot expect that you're going to run clean water through old pipes. It is not going to work. That there needs to be, turn the thing on its axis, turn it upside down. People who've come out of the ashes, I don't know how many years, and dust themselves off and come and say that we want to actually lead the country. We got a problem.
We got a problem.
Yes. So
the power lies with the people.
It does.
Always remember.
Okay, so we're getting into that conversation about tribal politics today and talking about the need to unite the nation so that you can vote, or not just vote, but so that you can come together on agenda and or issues. Joining us, and he'll tell us in a minute this morning what the issue might have been. Uniting the nation and political rhetoric and tribal politics. Professor Gitile Naituli is a former NCIC commissioner, and he joins us this morning. Prof, good morning.
Morning.
Are you okay?
Yeah, very okay, except the jam on Langata Road today. I've never seen anything like that.
It's quite something today, actually, from what we can see. Thank you for being here with us this morning.
It's a pleasure.
We're going to get into it really quickly because there seems to be a lot of, we talked about this, I believe it was on a conversation that we had on a particular public holiday with you, and we talked about the need to debunk this tribal issue. Whether we like it or not, it is still the subject of a lot of conversations moving forward. Everybody's talking about, well, this valley and the other, this mountain and the other, this water body and the other. The people of that must come together. While there may not be a problem with the people from a particular region coming together, the thought that you can pit one group of people against another people because of where they're from and not necessarily because of issues seems to be the problem. How do we then deal with it?
First, the tribal, the negative, let's say, tribe is fantastic. There's nothing absolutely wrong with any Kenyan belonging to any tribe, because you must belong
somewhere, because we also see it even in the US. The Americans behave whether they came from UK or whether they came from Germany and other, So this is okay, that is fine. But what we are talking about is negative ethnicity. That negative ethnicity is banned, and I think Kenyans will deal with it when we start having leaders who are competent. You see, it's incompetent people who reach out to thrive. It's corrupt people who reach out to thrive for protection. So they start making us fight one another. There is an analogy given about these white ants and black ants. They're in a bottle together. And they are living there very well until someone will choke that jar. When you check the jar, then they start fighting each other. They have not done anything wrong to one another except the jar has been shaken. So what the political class does in this country is just to shake the jar to make us fight one another. And then, of course, you have institutions now which are also completely useless in protecting us. You see, then NCIC Act has something called the vilification of a community is an offense under that act. So whenever either the president or his supporters go and they say wale wa kabila, you see, NCIC should act on that as already a violation of the law, because there is no such thing as an entire tribe being tribal. Do you understand? Yes. An individual within a community can be tribal, but the entire community cannot be tribal. So use of that global language amount to vilification of the community, and is an offense under the act. Now the people you give responsibility to implement that act, they don't do it.
Prof, we find ourselves in a very difficult time as a country. Because we put individuals in positions of authority to oversee how the resources are being managed. It pains me so much when I hear someone say, because we are in government, now development is coming to our region.
Yes.
We've trivialized even development to a point where if you are not here based off your tribe, you will not get development, or you will get development because you support perhaps the government of the day. And that right there is tribalism being peddled but being hidden under development.
That language...
Is it that people don't understand, don't see, or just choose not to act?
No, it's that they don't understand. You see, national resources are supposed to be distributed by parliament. So it's up to your member of parliament to force a certain agenda and a certain development program into the national budget when it's being discussed. Okay? So there's no such thing as not being in government or being in government. That part of the ignorance that has been moving us around. So you have a member of parliament. His job is to bring you that development, not the president. The president has no money. Parliament is the one which owns the national pass. Okay? And that is why the most important institution right now in the country is the MCAs, is the county assembly, and the National Assembly. Those are the most important institutions in protecting national resources. Problem is the kind of people we put there also. As voters, we put there people who don't even know that. They don't know that once you become an MCA, you are the most important person in that county. Once you become a member of parliament, you are the most important person in that constituency, not the president and not the governor. So our problem is in failure to understand that. So you don't have, the constitution does not say that you should get the development if you are in the government. The constitution says you deserve development and it gives the power to take care of you to the National Assembly and to the county assemblies. So those are the people who have the responsibility of making development happen to every corner of Kenya. Two people, the MCA and the MP. Of course, the MP should include the senators. Yes.
So can we be bold enough to say that, and then further on ask, that anybody who uses tribal politics as a way to get on the side of the people to give them their vote is actually lazy and non-creative, and that what you should be focusing on, regardless of where you're from, is what needs to be done for the people.
Not just lazy. Let's say that it's a very useless, incompetent person.
Okay.
It's somebody who really doesn't have an agenda to sell. You see, if you have an agenda to sell, if you are brilliant enough, innovative enough, you have consulted enough, people have given you what they need, you can sell that. But when you have absolutely nothing to offer, is when you reach to the tribe as you are shared. Okay? So the tribalists, if you look at it carefully, these are very incompetent people. These are highly corrupt people. Okay? And these are the Kenyans also we take there who already are have a criminal mind, probably even a criminal record, if you try to investigate properly. Because you see, there is something in the leadership we call capacity to laugh. You know, when you have that capacity, there is no tribe which is banned in Kenya. Because you have to start with your family, basically. Then you walk the laugh out to the community. To your community too, first. Then to the national community. So if you follow the history of the people who use tribe as a springboard to power, okay, or as a defense, after they have already taken in power and entered into corrupting deals and so on, those people, if you follow them, even their families are not in peace. The disunity they want to bring into the country, they have already created it in their homes. So it's the Kenyans who have to learn how to select out these people when they are distributing leadership. Because remember, it is the Kenyans who actually assign these roles to other Kenyans. You bring yourself out, and then they agree with you, and they elevate you. They have to figure out next time they need to think carefully who is this person I'm elevating.
Even while that we have institutions that then have been put in place by the Kenyan people to safeguard who we are as a people who belong somewhere, as a people who love our diversity that brings Kenya and makes Kenya be what it is today. And here I'm talking about NCIC, you talk about AACC, or matters to do with ethics, you talk about police DCI investigations, NIS collection of intelligence, and putting all things together with ODPP and advisor to government, that would be the AG, working together to ensure that Kenya is straight and is headed somewhere. But everyone seems to be silent. That you'd hear, wale wa kabila, nothing is being done. Intelligence is being shared here on who is going to attack who, and no one is acting on that information. Is it that it's orders from somewhere? Is it that, like you said, they're just lazy and incompetent, or is there a hidden agenda?
It's really a very basic misunderstanding of what you are supposed to do in those roles. You see, once we gave you that uniform as a police officer, you're supposed to serve the Constitution.
Yes.
Not an individual, not any individual. You serve the law, the Constitution. When we make you a president, you serve the Constitution. When we make you a commissioner under Chapter 15, you are supposed to serve the Constitution. You do what the Constitution allows. You do what the law allows. So the problem here is that we are not doing that, because most of these people we give these jobs are unqualified for those jobs. So they become extremely grateful to the appointing authority for getting the job. So when they go there, they start serving the appointing authority instead of serving the Constitution. That is the biggest weakness we have to deal with, and this is how nations die.
Indeed.
This is how nations collapse.
Because they're not facing the law upon which you're founded in the first place. I'd like to take a quick break and we'll come back and then find out that there are commissions that have been established to ensure that such excesses then are not allowed over and over again. But the question is then, a commission which you sat on at some point, and who interestingly was invited to come today but then didn't, what do they do in the cases where we see these excesses happening? And what should they do? We'll be back with Prof. Naitile after this.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic.
All right, so very busy indeed on Langata Road this morning. There is quite some traffic, and it still continues. Not quite sure what's causing that, but all the way from Uhuru Gardens out, then through Langata Road, and then down in towards Rilo Dinga Way or through towards the Nyaya Stadium roundabout. Not quite sure what's cooking here, but if you do find something, let us know. A victim of such is sitting right with us in the studio, but then we'll figure that out as we go along. Mombasa Road is also pretty busy. There's traffic coming all the way through from just after Imara, actually. And so that's going all the way into the CBD this morning, and also very busy on Jogo Road, heading out towards Landis, and then through towards Haile Selassie. It's also still very, very heavy on the Thika Superhighway this morning. Not quite sure. Is it because nobody went out yesterday, so everybody's out today? Not quite sure about that either, but bumper to bumper. Kiambu Road also busy. Yikes, we're still in traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we get through it. If you have a way out, do let us know. We'll talk, keep things moving. SpiceFM, KEONX hashtag, The Situation Room.
So many forward here. Titles are on the line. Rivalries are at their peak. This is the final stretch where legends rise and champions are made. From the Saudi League to the Bundesliga and La Liga. Recharge your monthly subscription today to feel the pressure, feel the passion, feel the game. Every pass, every goal, every moment matters. Don't miss a moment. Renew your subscription and stay in the game. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a StarTimes decoder at any of our dealer shops countrywide. Download the StarTimes On app to enjoy all your favorite shows and stream live channels on the move. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life. Sebastian Allaire.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversations continue this morning. It's 25 minutes to 9 o'clock. We are with Professor Gitile today, and we're asking a couple of questions, and that there is a body that was put in place to ensure that when some of these excesses are met, how are then they handled? And it's something I've come up with the last few weeks, and I said, can we just put this thing to bed once and for all? Is the NCIC actually able to handle some of these things that we talk about? Oh, we can call people in and have a conversation, and then we never hear the end of it after that, pay a fine, and then what? How do you ensure that these things which you have already established are just terribly political bad manners, that they still continue?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
It's not?
No, it's not able.
Okay.
There are two things here. There is what we say that willing or unwilling, unable or unwilling to do it, even when you are able. The law gives them the power to intervene, but they are not using the power. Let me just give you a very live example. Mm-hmm. Look what has been happening in Olekalau. The law gives the electoral body, the IEBC, incredible power. Corruption, bribing voters is illegal. Yeah. You can go to Njeri for it. What have you been seeing in that campaign? Distribution of mattresses, distribution of gas cylinders.
Call it development.
Open bribery. Okay? Yeah. Open bribery. Now, what have they done about it? That important? With all the power we have given them, all the law, we have given them both statute and the constitution authority. To make sure there is no bribery in elections. So what have they doing about the Olekalau? What did they do in Malaba? What did they do about Bere? So the same thing with the NCIC. NCIC people have been spewing hatred. Some of them very openly, like for example, Mashimu Agaloma. He doesn't miss once when he's talking about the Kikuyus. He talks very openly, very negatively. I think even the other day, even Yondinga was somehow telling the Luz that the Kikuyus, I don't know, didn't vote for Raila or something like that. All of them, Raila got 1.4 million vote from the Kikuyus. Yeah. So some of the pronouncements of people like that, like those, okay, or the NCIC has the power to summon them. It has the power to take them to court because they are vilifying a community. Okay? Anytime you talk negatively, unfairly about any community in Kenya, you are breaching the NCIC Act. So they are supposed to act. Have they acted? No. In fact, the other day I saw them summoning Wanjiko Muia. It's like that. You can't summon Wanjiko Muia if you are not summoning Nagaluma. You see, for you to enforce the law, you need to look impartial, completely fair. Okay? Totally. There can be nobody outside the law. And you cannot go after this person, not the other one. The society must see you as enforcing the law without the fear or favor. We are not doing that. If, for example, IEBC continues like this, like what I'm seeing happening there, the other day even his own boat.
Yes.
So if you go allow that to continue openly like that, what kind of election are you going to have in 2027? You understand? But you see, the time will come when the Kenyans also need to start enforcing the law. Do you know the Kenyans can demand that the international community organize this election and remove those guys? Okay? You see, the Kenyans have delegated their power and Article 1 to two arms of government, to the executive in the county, in the counties, and to the executive in the national. They have also delegated, the IEBC act on delegated authority. The Kenyans can actually withdraw those authority if they realize the referee is taking them to war. They can decide to get the United Nations to conduct the election. So the Kenyans need to wake up and look at these institutions they have created which are not performing and start having strategies what to do with them. Because they are critical institutions. Like the IEBC is absolutely critical because it's the custodian of the Kenyan sovereignty. When it behaves like Mbere, like Alao today, like Malaba, then you don't have an independent referee. You're having a very dangerous organization that can bring trouble to the nation, either intentionally or just carelessness, either lack of knowledge or simple incompetence. So, the same thing with the police. The police is the ngulu, which needs the society together. There is no institution in a country as important as the police service. The moment the police becomes partial, okay? The moment the police allows itself to be converted into a militia of anybody, then the country basically dies. The police is the most useful, the most important institution. And that's why sometimes I don't like the kind of money we pay them. We need to pay them well. Because they sleep outside, so we can sleep sweetly. Inside. Yeah. You understand? These fellows are so valuable, allowing themselves to serve individuals other than serving the law. They are doing a big disservice to us, to the country. So when you look at all these institutions the country has set up for self-survival and protection, and then you see their behavior, you don't know whether to laugh or cry. Because these are very competent Kenyans. They know the law. They can do a job. But, I'm just saying here,
so what happens?
Where they were beating some people totally unarmed.
Yeah.
So when do you do that? You see, this is the problem. We need to take a look at it.
But sorry, go ahead, Dennis.
Prof, as we talk about that, then there is what Mwananchi could do, like you said, in terms of IEBC, called the international community to handle that. But beyond that is fact that there has to be ROI in everything that you do, value for money, because these individuals are put there and are paid by Mwananchi. Would I be right or wrong to say that for every other office that Mwananchi feel they have not seen value for that, perhaps private prosecution on individuals who fail to deliver in office is a way to go. Because knowing very well that we have all these other agencies that do check and balances on each other. That's why we have the National Assembly to check on all these commissions as well. We have the police, the Attorney General. If someone does not deliver, is that an avenue that Wananchi as well would take to ensure that anybody who comes in there does deliver? If you do not, Wananchi will deal with you. But how also does political goodwill affect the performance of these offices?
Yes, I would say that there's avenues for that. Even the law allows actually for Kenyans to institute private prosecution against individuals who violate the law. The procedure is you give the Director of Public Prosecution 7 days to act. You give them even the evidence. And even they don't do that, then you can move the court. And they cannot come now and they take over the case because you already gave them the opportunity to move. So that exists. What we are lacking is also committed Kenyans to do that. Committed to the level of Okoh Mutata. You see, you're having the alternative now, the United Alternative Government. What these people already should have done, in my opinion, is to have a legal team which takes up these matters immediately. And that is why when I came here, and you people saying that you may not want to just replace banned people with another one, because the issue is not replacement, the issue really is substantial change, which moves society from A to B. So imagine if the alternative government, as a legal team, for example, there is a useless debate coming into parliament, which is basically, in my opinion, another formula for government to steal from Kenyans.
Okay, another one.
There's a SACO Lego thing.
Okay.
You know the SACO?
Yes.
SACO is where people have put their sweat. Because they don't really trust other government institutions, and the people, but they want a law now which can allow the government to issue infrastructure, whatever, to use that money. And you know what's happening in infrastructure: exaggerated tenders, inflated tenders. That's what I mean. Corruption of employment in them. So you can't allow government to go there. Now, this alternative government should already be preparing a lawsuit to get that thing suspended. When the government decided to convert the public institutions into limited liability companies, that is completely illegal. There is nothing in the law that is supporting that. So, and these people moved to court to get that law suspended, because anything that touches on public assets and which is removed from parliament and from Auditor General and from control of budget, the law will not support that. But we don't see what we needed to multiply on Mutata. To get more Mutatas in the country, then we can actually do what you are saying, because all these institutions can be on to account. The policeman can be sued, prosecuted individually. The law does allow that as it is today. What we don't have is people now willing to collect that evidence and then move on those particular individuals. Because also, for example, there is a court ruling which says the police cannot operate undercover. They must be in uniform, properly identifiable, and they cannot wear those backlavas, the one they wear. There has been some wearing backlavas now. People should have already moved contempt charges against the Minister for Internal Security and against the Inspector General Police already. But do we have people doing that? You have only Mutata trying to serve the entire country, and the country is very big. So,
if there are bodies that have been instituted to take care of these things, if with the police you have an independent policing oversight authority, if with these tribal rhetoric that we're seeing you have the NCIC, if you have, name an excess, you have a commission or a body that has been instituted to take care of it. But it would appear as though this is not happening. So why then do we insist on continuing to have these bodies, so that there can be a semblance of order?
Exactly. No, there is something called gross incompetence and something called criminal negligence. Somebody can actually go to court, for example, and ask the court to disband the IEBC on the basis of what happened in Mbere, what is happening in Olekalau, and what happened in Malaba. Because that bonders, not in bonders, that's a clear expression of gross incompetence, which is a ground for you being removed from a constitutional office. So what he is asking is clearly this: do we need to spend money on institutions we have set up to protect us, and they are not protecting us? The answer is actually no. You know, you can. I tell some of these people, this our the other leaders, that there is something called doing something even for nuisance value. Okay, because they idea that you can move to court, but corruption exists everywhere. I think there's a lawyer called Abu Nasiri, the Grand Mullah or something, who has been calling them Njeri Spesa and so on. That exists. You can still do it. Okay, that's what I'm saying. You can do it for nuisance value. If you think there will be executive interference with the suit, you still don't do it, because you need to stress the law. You need also to establish the fact that you are firmly grounded in the law, that you are not operating, doing anything outside the law. So they can do that. The country has the power, if we aren't committed people, that's what we are lacking, Mtata style, that you can move against NCIC today. You can collect evidence of all these Kenyans who stand like this land, I think from Wajir says, even Kura, if they are not in Abu Rofil, I think there is another fellow from Western Kenya. Both IEBC and NCIC should have acted on those people. When they fail, you can use that as an example to ask the country, to ask the court to disband them, so that you don't continue wasting money on an institution that is not serving you, that is not executing its mandate under the law. Yes, you are not obligated to continue supporting that institution. No.
And can then you put any kind of, because what we are being told now, I mean, we'll hear it in discourse, it's going to come up, is that somebody will say, well, look, there was the by-elections that took place, some of those that you reference, and we had a conversation with the IEBC after, and what they said was, well, you know, if case there was anything, we've reported it to the police, and we are waiting for a report from the police. Thereafter, we will begin to deal with these things. I don't know that since October 2025 until this moment, anything has been done.
IEBC doesn't have to report anything to the police. Let me tell you what happens. When an electorate is declared, every police officer in that area serving under that becomes actually an official of IEBC. So they are the police. What they are doing is kicking the can down the stairs. That's why nothing has happened. Okay? The moment, for example, in Mbere, you saw those military-style vehicles, IEBC should have suspended that election immediately. Try to figure out who brought those vehicles, unless if they count for them themselves, because they have the power to suspend you from participating in the election. Okay? If you bring violence, if you not following the code of conduct, IEBC can actually bar you from participating in the election. So when they tell you they are reporting to the police, you just need to wonder which police, because
themselves.
Yes, because they take charge. Any electorate and declared security operations, they come under their control. That is the law.
Prof, we therefore find ourselves in a position where the Constitution is seemingly a suggestion to a few. Majority of us Kenyans, people follow the law. People respect the Constitution. But there is a select few, the minority, who look at the Constitution as if it was a suggestion. You can't, when you talk about constitutionalism, one would say applies to those on the left, the others on the right. Look at the Constitution as a piece of paper and not the cardinal rule that controls each and every single aspect of our daily lives. What then must we as Wananchi, we as a country, do to say our cardinal rule and our law is the constitution that we must abide to. Because when you talk about IEBC and the powers it has been given, it is through that document called the constitution. The police, it is the constitution. Everybody follows the constitution. But when a select few choose not to, what must we do to fix that?
Yeah, that is a very valid question right now, and a difficult one. Because, you're saying something extremely important. There is nothing in that Constitution of Kenya 2010 which is a suggestion. Everything in that document is about to be obeyed to the letter. I don't know how many people listened to the Chief Justice the other day when he said that there is no way this country should allow 2,000 people, 2,000, to mess up the lives of 55 million Kenyans. Yes. I don't know how many heard that from the Chief Justice. We have allowed for too long for these 2,000 people, the political class, to decide which laws to obey and which laws to disregard, while we obey all of them. Because we are not holding them accountable during elections. Because the elections is when we should hold them accountable. We are also not holding them accountable in the process. You see, the building blocks of democracy is day by day. It's not at the election time. It is supposed to be sustained daily. We are supposed to watch your actions daily. We are supposed to judge you daily. But not necessarily waiting for the election. So we are not holding these 2,000 people accountable for their actions. This is why you look in that parliament, you have people who have murdered Kenyans. Okay? And those cases were just withdrawn. You remember that? Was there an uproar during withdrawing those cases from the citizens? Because we know them, we know the people who killed. And the cases were basically withdrawn in the sense of allowing them to conclude through the legal process. Okay? Every day, the Auditor General reviews billions being stolen. Like the other day, there was 6-point-something billion directly withdrawn from the citizen. Was there an uproar by Kenyans? So we have normalized breach of law. That is your answer. And unless we revisit ourselves, we stop the normalization because we have the power to do that as citizens. We will lose Kenya as we know it. Because you see, the things, this bad behavior just behave like this. Look what you saw in Ikesi, in Kiembu, in Ikesi. The police were advising stoning cars as they are passing. And I think 2 people died or something like that. Okay? Now, the rapid supportive force was called in Wind, was a government militia. But now is a threat to the existence of Sudan. Okay? In Haiti, there was a president called Papandreou Duvalier. He had goons called Toton Makuti, to serve short-term political ends. Those guys went out of control. Even we are being asked to send the police there to try to bring normalcy. If you don't arrest this behavior now, in other words, the behavior you're talking about is breach of law. Because the police is not supposed to watch law being broken, a police officer. So that means any police officer who was in that road in Kisii, and we saw them, all those should be home by now.
Because they watched these illegalities.
Because they watched an illegality happening and they did nothing. And their job was to stop it. Okay? So the fact that they are not home, it means we are normalizing breach of law. When in breach of law is normalized, you don't know where it will end. You cannot control. Because Al-Bashir in Sudan thought he could control Wind. You now go ask what is happening to the Sudan now. Millions have died as a result of that. So usually they spin out. They start having their own command. Okay, you start that thinking you can control them. They have their own command. You remember Mungiki here? How long it took us to control them? And during Kibaki time.
Yeah.
Okay? So what we are saying here is there is nothing in the Constitution which is a suggestion. There is no court ruling which is a suggestion. Once the court has issued an edict, once the court has issued a ruling or a judgment, it's supposed to be obeyed. If you disagree with it, you go to a superior court. That is why they can be reversed. But you don't ignore it. Okay? So they say, we want to build, a house in a forest in Meru. Somebody go to court. They ignore it and they continue cutting the trees. You say they want to bring Ebola or whatever, the Americans in Nanyuki. Somebody go to court and get the injection. They continue. They ignore. That is how you slowly kill a vibrant democracy. That's how you mess up a country.
Who bells the cat, really quickly, Prof, to say, well, or is it, you talk about people can actually go and petition, people can go to court, people can say that some of these things cannot be done to set a precedent. Who bells the cat? Everybody at the same time, or is it left for a few people?
Well, the citizens actually can do that, but also you need the emergence of leaders with some courage and also enough creativity to propose options, solutions. Because it's not enough to complain. You have to be able to propose solutions. And that one right now seems to be lacking.
Tall order.
Which is very unfortunate. I think because you see proposing solutions, for example, is doing what Mutata is doing. You understand that?
Yeah.
For example, the elections has always been a problem because in Bomas, because the executive basically controls the IEBC, and then when they come to Bomas, he's closed to the public. But Article 86 is about the transparency in the electoral process. So the election is supposed to end in the constituency. Okay? But how many of these people want to be president are saying that what we do is wrong? Where the votes where the votes from polling stations are collated, that is the final place because the MC is there, the governor is there, the MP is there, the senator is there, but the public is also there because you don't need the accreditation to go to the constituency tallying center as a citizen. Do you understand? So how many of these people are saying that? This is why I'm saying that we are lacking leadership who are able to generate options.
Right.
You see a problem, then you generate a solution
to
that problem. Now we are not there, and I don't understand why.
But we need to get there.
Yes.
And that to have the conversation where we're alive to that reality then is just as important. Professor Gitile Naitule has been here with us this morning. Thank you for joining us in the Situation Room. We hope that your journey back is not as tumultuous as the one here was. Looking forward to the next conversation with you, Prof. Santisana. Good morning. 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembor. Children and aged 7 to 17 years registered under SHA will now use fingerprint verification when accessing treatment at SHA contracted healthcare facilities. In a notice, SHA CEO Mercy Mwangangi says the biometric verification will be used to confirm the identity of children receiving care. Parents or guardians will be required to provide consent before fingerprints are captured. Where fingerprint verification is not possible, facilities may use the contributor's identification number and a one-time password to verify the child's details. SHA says the information will be protected in accordance with the Data Protection Act 2019, and the process is guided by the Social Health Insurance Act 2023 and the Social Health Insurance Regulations 2024. Kenya has joined Spain, the European Union and France in launching a global coalition to protect children from risk associated with AI. ICT CS William Kabogo says Kenya will support efforts to detect AI-generated child abuse material, strengthen online safety and promote inclusive AI systems. Kenya will also serve as a regional hub for rapid removal of harmful content and contribute findings from its Child Online Protection Survey to support policy speed development. The coalition launched under the United Nations framework brings together governments and partners to promote safer use of AI for children. In other news, a section of residents in Nyamira County have raised concern over rising cases of violence at political rallies and events ahead of next year's general election. Speaking in Keroka town, the residents condemned the incidents, warning that unchecked violence could threaten peace and stability in the country. They also urged Kenyans to elect leaders with integrity in the 2027 general election.
Hii serikali imetunyanyasa katika ile kiwango, pesa imetoka mfukoni iko kwa mfuko yao. Sasa wanatuletea 500, wananunua marungu pesa zetu, tupige wenzetu. Tujizuie kupigana na wenzetu. Tujizuie kuwa Wakenya wenzetu. Tujue ya kwamba hii ni serikali imekalia kwa muda tu, itoke tukuwe na serikali mpya, amani ikuje Kenya.
Kila mtu hako na huru kwa kufanya kampeni mahali anataka. Hii mambo ya kufanya hii vita ya kununua vijana ya kuenda kupigana kwa matanga ama kwa barabara si vizuri.
Timata's agriculture sugarcane farmers in Busia County have accused Mumias Sugar Company of attempting to interfere with the election of new sugar board directors through a dispute over farmers' boundaries. Led by Charles Atiang, Gerald Okoh and Lambert Ogochi, the farmers claim the company has moved to court, arguing that farmers from Bumula and Kandui fall under its jurisdiction despite the areas being located in Bungoma County. Speaking in Butula, the farmers said they will not allow the dispute to disrupt the elections and have called for the case to be withdrawn to allow the process to proceed as planned.
So we have held a serious consultation with the farmers here, and this is part of what we want to tell the Kenyans, that election of Kenya's sugar growers has stalled simply because of issue of Mumias, and that has to come out very clear to the authorities and to everybody. And that is why we are here, and we are voicing our concern that the issue surrounding the boundary of Mumias must come out very clear.
And as my senior says, we feel there is something sinister, there is something being hidden, there is an agenda that people are not being brought, there is some opaqueness, there is no transparency there, but only to note that somebody has gone to court from Bumula, which is in Bungoma County, claiming that Bumula should be in Mumias.
Inakuaje Nduh Sugar Company iko Kandui na Nduh Sugar Company is under upper zone, na wanataka all the farmers from Kandui, which is Nduh Sugar Company, wakuje wapige kura yao huku Mumias, wakuje wapige kura yao huku Busia. Hii ni kunyanyasa wakulima, and especially wa huku Busia.
And the U.S. has launched powerful strikes on Iran in response to attacks on 3 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command said on Tuesday it had hit over 80 targets, including more than 60 Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps small boats in the strait. Iranian state media said strikes hit Qasem Island, Bandar Abbas, and Sirik, where people have been injured by shrapnel. Iran has not directly claimed responsibility for the attacks on the 3 tankers that led to the U.S. launching strikes. And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembur.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to set house, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you. It's 9 after 9 and we enter into the final conversation for this Wednesday morning. And to allow us to then look into certain amendment bills and what essentially they do. So we know that bills are brought before Parliament. They could be private bills, they could be parliamentary bills, whatever the case may be, over a particular issue. Now, the issue that comes into play today that we are discussing is what can happen when it comes to shielding big tech from accountability. And that's the conversation that we're having this morning. Wycliffe Alutalala is the chairman of the Africa Tech Workers Movement and joins us in the hot seat this morning. Good morning, Wycliffe.
Morning.
Karibu Sana, thank you for being here.
Asante.
Also, Freedom Wangi is the national chairperson of the Kenya Union of Gig Workers. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us as well. Before we get into this conversation today, to look into the intrigues of all of this, Dennis takes us to a country on the continent. We'd love to hear your interpretation of this proverb.
We are in a country that is the oldest republic in the continent, which was formed in 1847 by would-be released slaves in America. So African Americans coming back and forming the country. If you look at the flag, resembles the American flag, but also it is the first country to elect a female president, Ellen Sirleaf Johnson. The country, Liberia, rich in diamond, iron ore, gold and timber. But the proverb we get from them, the one who climbs a good tree deserves a push. The one who climbs a good tree deserves a push. Ladies, go first. Frida, how would you interpret it?
I think, I don't know, but I think I'm interpreting it in the same way we talk about how we see an iceberg, but never see what's underneath. So in terms of success, once you're already up there, I think you deserved to be kind of not pushed, but supported, because maybe you've gone through so much. Yeah.
Alutalala, how would you interpret?
Yeah, I think just like Frida said, I think if someone is climbing a good tree, it means whatever he or she is doing is something good. And I think what the proverb literally means is that the person requires to be supported. Yeah.
Well, so well interpreted, the sentence.
All right. Yeah. So, the Business Laws Amendment Bill 2026, let's start off with that and let's understand what exactly is going into this. Who raised it? Where is it now? What does it all contend? Or rather, what does it all bring into contention? Frida, we'll start with you.
Okay, yes. So the Business Amendment Law was actually started in Senate by Cheriot. And it was really supposed to kind of shield the big tech. And just to explain that is that a lot of the BPOs or the outsourcing firms in Kenya are not the owners of the job. So a good example would be maybe TikTok would have one of the companies doing content moderation, or Facebook or Meta would have another one in Kenya. So the idea really is to make the BPOs, like the people who are responsible, and yet they're not the owners of the work. So then after that, once Cheruiyot put it in Senate, there was a town hall by the president. And what he did is he actually pulled out one of the company and said, where are you? We are going to make laws that will protect you. No one is ever going to take you to court. The thing that happened after that is usually when these kind of bills go, they're supposed to have public participation. Mm-hmm. So as workers or organizing in these sectors, we did send our memorandum, but then we never got like a sitting. And it was also ignored, and it passed, even without considering the memorandum. And so workers then went to court to challenge it because of public participation. But then, yes, again, that was ignored, and now it's with the National Assembly. And at first, they had refused to do any public participation because they said it was already done by the Senate. But recently, they opened it up for public participation, and we were able to send another set of memorandum by yesterday.
Yeah. So when you went in the courts, what was the court's decision or ruling at the time?
Yeah, so I think you could help with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think at the time this bill was being rushed through the Senate after the presidential pronouncement, we came together, several organizations, from Kenya Union of Gig Workers to Africa Tech Workers Movement to Oversight Lab Africa, and we brought together a team of experts, including lawyers and labor specialists, and we did the memorandum as she has put it, which was ignored. Then we, with the support of the Oversight Lab Africa, we put up a team of lawyers and went to court. Now, the case was basically challenging the idea of lack of public participation. Mm-hmm. So the court heard the case, and 3 months ago, the court felt or ruled that because the matter had been taken to the National Assembly, because the bill was originated from the Senate, but after the Senate passed it, it went to the National Assembly. The court felt that the process had not been completed. So it felt that it was like premature to make a ruling on it. So it directed that we wait and see the National Assembly proceedings and see how it goes. If we feel the public participation has not been adequately done, we can still go back. Okay. So the ruling was our petition was a bit premature because the court felt the process had not been completed at the National Assembly.
The originator of the bill is Aaron Cheruiyot, who's the senator. So that means the bill began at the Senate.
Yes.
And even at the Senate's sittings, public participation is mandatory.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. That even now, even if the matter is at the National Assembly, still there is an aspect of public participation at the Senate that was ignored.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is the bond of contention. But what one asks the question, with protecting the big tech firms, what exactly do we mean? You know, because Kenyans want to understand when you say the bill seeks to protect the big tech, what exactly does that mean?
Now, you know, first of all, if you go through the bill, they are, you know, they normally say is it the secret is in the details or something?
The devil is in the details.
Yes, the devil is in the details. There was a specific clause in that bill which was saying that, for example, Meta does not hire people in Kenya directly. It does through, by then it was doing through a company called Samasos. Now, what that means is that what the bill was trying to say is that, for example, if I'm a Kenyan who has been hired by Sama, but working on Facebook content, and I feel that my rights have been infringed on by Facebook, who is actually the person I have a contract with, but I've been hired through the BPO. I could not sue the mother company who has a contract with me. Now, what that does is that the workers were being exposed because, on one hand, you have a contract with the parent company. But on the other hand, the bill is saying you cannot sue the mother company that has given you the work. You can only sue the BPO. And yet the BPO says, we have no contract with you. I was just an agent to hire you. So the bill was literally protecting the real owner of the job, the real bearer of the contract, from any prosecution in Kenya. That is basically what the bill was trying to do. Yeah.
Okay, when you say that, it's kind of like a blanket thing. So that if you acted in any manner that was contrary to, number one, the law, labor laws, because you don't hire anybody here, but your practice, anything attached to your practice, essentially you're immune to the laws of Kenya.
Right.
Yes.
That's serious, though.
And actually, even at that time, I remember there were these workers who had been hired by Samasos, who had actually very serious problems with the company. And they had actually even moved to court. Do you know, surprisingly, 3 years down the line to date, the case has never taken off.
What does that mean?
Reason being, the company has always been raising preliminary objections on matters of jurisdiction, saying they cannot be sued in Kenya because they are not a Kenyan company.
Okay. Senate is parliament.
Yes.
Okay. They are part of the legislature.
Yes.
Which is an arm of government which is meant to make the law, oversight, budget, and such. Why would Senate be involved in making a law that seems to go against everything constitutional and then want to stand by it, Frida?
Yes.
Unless I'm not understanding correctly what has happened here.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, maybe if we look at the bigger picture, there's this bit of unemployment in Kenya for the youth. And one of the spaces that government feels would be able to kind of fill that gap is the BPO, or the outsourcing firms. And so this bill is supposed to kind of help the BPOs or the companies themselves to have an enabling environment in this country. What has there are three things that we are because once you have laws, everyone, especially the outsourcing companies and the big tech, are very good at looking at loopholes, right? And so when we say that the first one, which is clause 10, is we need to know who is the boss. Currently, they have put the BPOs to be the employers. But then we know that the BPOs also sometimes give contracts that are 3 months long, you know, and in the name of fixed term, because these BPO workers are not yet classified as employees. So they still are not getting the benefits that they require in terms of being, you know, the employer-employee relationship. Then the second thing is also around, I mean, I'm talking about, first of all, who is the boss? Then what is the duties of this boss? Because they are leaving out other people. They are talking about BPOs and information technology-enabled services, which brings in all the platform workers, right? And so we need to say that if you're changing the definition of an employer, it needs to work along exactly what the employers do. Employers decide rates, right? Employers supervise you, but in this context, we are supervised by algorithms, right? So that should also be part of definition of an employer, where if the algorithm decides what you get paid, when you get work and all that, it's direct, indirect control, right? And so that should also be part of it. So what we are saying is that as much as it looks like it's a good bill, it's not thinking about the labor rights. It's not thinking about the workers who are supposed now to be growing or be part of the growth of this national BPO or rather the outsourcing firms. So there's also the bit of occupational hazard.
Yes.
Where they say that now they recognize that any place can be a workplace. My home, if I'm a freelancer, maybe the car, if you're an Uber driver. But then it's not clear then who is responsible to pay for any kind of health hazards you may get when you're in the house. If I work on a platform like Upwork, who is supposed to be taking care of this? Is this the client or is it the platform? Uber the same. Even the BPOs themselves, some of them have people working remotely. So who is supposed to kind of compensate for that? So those things are not very clear. And if we leave it the way they are, it's going to bring a lot of loopholes. Yeah.
Alutalala, some of the concerns as well that have been raised, because I remember when the matter was being discussed heavily in the country, especially with the outsourced company, was the issues as well to do with workers' mental health based off what it is they saw in the back end when they were training the AI system within within Meta. And with that, several testimonials came out because people didn't know where to run to. That is not covered. They do not have insurance and all that. But here now we're looking at labor laws in the country, because based off what I understand is the contract is between you and the big tech, not between you and the outsourced company.
Yes.
But while pushing that, then one asks the question, even as we push for that, is there a way where gig tech savvy Kenyans are protected by the law as we stand today, or is it just an open field where anyone can come in and play?
Now, okay, actually, before I come to your question, let me just weigh in on Madam's question about why would Senate come up with a law that seems to be protecting big tech at the expense of the Kenyan workers. Now, one thing we need to realize is that because of the huge youth population that is unemployed, government is very keen on creating jobs, which is a good thing. But the problem that we are having as a country is that we are very good adopters to technology and opportunities, but we are very poor at coming up with the regulations to protect our people. That's why, like 5 months ago, you heard about this case about Uber exiting the Tanzanian market. Why Uber left Tanzania was that the Tanzanian government is very intentional on protecting their workers, their citizens. That's why they have come up with standards to say if a company is working in this country, these are the minimum standards that we must meet in terms of labor protections. But what happens in our country is that anytime government tries to come up with a regulation, it is always for the investors. It has nothing to do with the workers. It has nothing to do with the labor component. Now, to your question, today, the 5 labor laws in this country, none of them is tech ready. None of the labor laws in the country today talk about platform work. None of them talks about the new forms of work that are currently now the in thing. Some of the labor laws are not even consistent with our 2010 constitution.
How can that be?
It is.
When the government has been very keen, at least in the last 2.5 years, to talk about job employment and job creation on a platform that the government itself has also created, where these jobs are then on that platform. What is it called? Ajira
program.
The program whereby you can now log on and find some of these jobs, some of the platforms that you mentioned are on that platform.
Yes.
Why would it be that of the 5 labor laws, none of them are providing any kind of protection or legality within tech, when the very platform established by government is 100% tech-based?
That tells you the issue of regulation and where the focus of government is. Government is focused on creating jobs, which is a good thing, but it has zero focus on what type of jobs are being created and the impact of those jobs on the young people that we are entering into this market. Just a few months ago, a member of our organization actually left the organization because of mental issues. You talk to some of these young people doing these tech jobs, the content moderators, the data labelers, you hear their stories. These guys are going through mental depression. But our current labor laws... As a
result of what?
As a result of the work they are doing. You know, when you talk about content moderation, it literally means that when you post something on Facebook or on TikTok, before it comes onto your phone, there are people working in the background to clean that,
or to ensure that
what comes onto your screen is good content. So that means these are the people who are experiencing all forms of content. Firsthand, including very hazardous content. Now, if you read our Occupational Safety and Health Act, which is meant to protect workers from harm at work, it has nothing to do with platform work. It has no protection whatsoever for people who are doing such type of jobs. It is as old as, is it 1957?
Actually,
when was the act passed?
The employment.
Yeah. It is very old. Even the Employment Act, it is of 2007. Our constitution is 2010. So the 5 sets of labor laws have nothing to do with the current forms of work. And that is where our problem begins.
And you see, at the end of the day then, because if you look at platform work, especially those who are moderating content, there is the end consumer.
Yes.
Where am I headed with this? Because if I see something on these platforms, right, that injure me, that hurt me, I will sue. You get what I mean? And by the time I'm suing, if it's Kenya, because we're using the algorithm that is Kenya and also the internet provider is Kenya, right? I will sue perhaps then, if I sue Meta, does it mean I sue Samasos or I sue the person who was moderating the content? Because it is not clear. I'm going to give you an example. The other day I was talking to an individual because of the DSA Act that is in Europe. And there was an ad on Meta platform. And what happened is they looked at it, it was mis and disinformation. They reported to Meta what happened. 2 days. It was brought down, and even the website was brought down. The ad disappeared. In Kenya, if I am injured by something that is on these platforms, who do I sue? Do I sue the gig worker? Do I sue the BPO? Do I sue the parent company? It is not clear.
Yeah, that is not clear. And I think to bring that home, you remember there's a time the country was talking about X and the misinformation there. And one of the things that came out from the Haji is that as much as they as the intelligence team in Kenya, would go to Facebook to either say there's misinformation here, they take forever to respond because there's no clear pathway. You'll just do tickets. And tickets are also automated. It's not the same if someone was doing the same reporting if they're in America or Europe, right? So that is why they were also wondering as a country how best to deal with this misinformation on X, because they also, being the intelligent team, can still not sue or get in very good information from Meta. So that is also very unclear in terms of who can you sue. And that is why they get away with all these things.
But Frida, do we have terms and conditions in terms of operationalizations of all these big tech in the country? Because at the end of the day, it is not Kenyan born. It comes from outside. Yeah. They're registered there. But there are terms and conditions with which then guide a society or a country that is Kenya. Do we have those laid out clearly so that if someone is operating in Kenya, they know these are the set rules, this is how we protect our citizens, this is how we protect the labor community that is helping with moderation of the same? Or is it just an open field?
No, it's an open field currently because we don't have that kind of regulation. Actually, one of the things that looks like and it's a very good thing, is that now the fight had to go global. We had to have the International Labour Organization coming, bringing the platforms and the workers and governments this June. But this has been something that has been discussed for, I think, since 2023 or before. And this is because they have identified that all these problems we keep talking about, whether it's the deactivation, and deactivation is just a rosy word of you're fired, whether it's the fixed terms, whether it's a content, the harmful psychosocial harms, it's global because this platform operates in Europe, they're in Kenya. So this has now allowed the International Labour Organization to pass a convention. But then this convention requires our country, Kenya, to ratify it. And when they ratify it, then we have to put laws in place, meaning we are about 10 or 15 years behind from since the platform started coming to Kenya and hiring people.
Okay, so in terms of recourse, I guess that's the next conversation that we will be having, because then what happens next? And let's just go a little bit into what this actually means. I've seen some comments here where people who might be engaged on these platforms are talking about the fact that they don't have any kind of protection. They're just basically doing a job, getting money, no insurance, no clause whereby there's a recall, protect, nothing like that. And so again, I go back to how then do we allow, or how does the lawmaking body allow such a law to pass? Okay, we're talking this morning with Wycliffe and Frida, trying to understand this a little bit more, and then also to find out where this, in terms of process, where this bill is and if it's likely to go through. amendment to it, rather. Okay, so we'll come back and continue with that conversation. We'll take a quick break and we're back. This is the Situation Room. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic.
All right, so let's take a quick look at that traffic situation and see if it's looking any better. Still, there's crazy traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning. Inbound traffic it's madness. And we're still looking at, let's take a quick look at Langata Road, where that seems to have dissipated just a bit. So we're okay now. A little bit of it left as you cross over from Rilo Dinga Way, crossing over Ngong Road and trying to find your way into the CBD. So that's not looking too bad for now. Mombasa Road also, to a certain extent, has cleared up. We're seeing a little bit of moving traffic coming in from the Nyayo Stadium roundabout out towards Haile Selassie. So that's okay for now. James Gishiro, a little bit of traffic crossing over to the Red Hill Link Road, and it's going to find its way back onto Limuru Road and join with this madness that's happening coming off of the Thika Superhighway. And there's still traffic coming off of Kiambu Road, so yikes, not quite sure how we're going to get out of that one. Landis Road, a little bit of traffic also seeping over to coming in from Enterprise Road as well, so that's one to watch. Still in traffic hour where we shouldn't be, but again, if you're on the Thika Superhighway, shout out through the day, let us know what's up. SpiceFM, KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right. So as we continue with this amendment bill, we're talking about an amendment to a bill that already exists. So what is the thing that is going to change here with this amendment, if anything, for better, for worse? Frida?
Yeah, okay. So if the Parliament right now, National Assembly, reads the memorandum, takes some time to speak with the workers themselves, and then changes the three clauses, that's 10, 11, and 12, then that will cover the labor rights of the workers. If they don't, then again we'll continue with the exploitation in the name of creating jobs in the country.
So we're looking at a situation where jobs have been created. That's not there's no doubt.
Yes.
Jobs have been created. People are working. But the contention here is the situation or circumstance under which these jobs are being carried out then does not fall under the umbrella of protection.
Yes.
Okay. What would change in this bill to allow that then to be, Wycliffe?
For us, as Africa Tech Workers, together with our partners, the Kenya Union of Gig Workers, the Oversight Lab Africa, our focus in this bill is the workers' place. The bill, to us, has no input whatsoever from the people who really do this work. And that is where our problems begin, because government, whenever government wants to come up with a regulation, they are keen on looking at the investment bit, but they don't look at the people who are going to do this work. Okay. So our focus here is that we have special focus on three clauses in that bill, clause 10, 11, and 12. Why we are keen on this is because we want this term employment to be defined in the sense of platform work. Who is an employer? Who is an employee? What is the relationship? Because like my friend asks here, if today you are working on a platform and you get injured,
yes,
you have no person you can sue, because you are not going to sue the mother company, because it will tell you we are not local operating, I'm physically present in your country. You are not going to sue the BPO because they are telling you, I don't have a contract with you, so you are not my employee. So you are left in between. So we want this clause 10 to be reviewed to define any application that hires people through their online. Even the agents, that means the BPOs, to be classified as employers. The reason why we want this done is because, for example, myself, I'm from the ride-hailing sector. I've been driving Uber for the last 10 years. Actually, this is the 11th year. Uber calls me an independent contractor.
Okay.
For the 11 years I've worked with Uber, I don't have social protection. NSF Uber doesn't pay for me NSSF. I don't have NHIF or SHA, the current SHA. What happens when I drive on this Uber for the next 10 years? Where is my social protection in old age? Now today, government tells us we have like 1.2 million young people working on platforms. Meaning all these 1.2 million people, and most of them, by the way, the people working on these platforms are basically high school graduates and university graduates, very fresh from college. So if these young people are joining this work, and they are going to do this work for the rest of their lives without social protection, what society are we building? Number two, what is the mental health of these people? Are we creating jobs that in the next 5 to 10 years is going to produce 1.2 million zombies in Kenya? Because if our young people are being exposed to this content that is actually harming their mental well-being, then we are building a society of mentally ill people. So we must ensure that platform work is work, the way it has been defined in the ILO convention, and we must ensure that these people are protected. That is our focus.
And as you add on that, then one would ask the question, say, if today we're talking about, say, Uber or Meta at home, where they're registered, say, in America, what are we seeing those in those spaces getting in terms of social protection, in terms of being protected legally by the rights and everything else, for us to then draw comparisons and say either we're getting short hand of the stick because perhaps they are hiding under where it is they've been registered.
Yeah. So in different jurisdiction, there are people who have been able to kind of go some miles with the platforms. A very recent one was in Canada, where the riders, the Uber drivers, got into a union, and they actually didn't even get to a union of their own. They joined a food union, but it's because they understood the power that comes with being a union. They have had now something that has never happened before, a collective bargaining agreement with Uber. And they have very clear benefits to the point of social protection, bonuses if you've worked in Uber for maybe 5 years. They've also talked about pay rise, how it's going to be happening over time. So there's that shows us that if we organize, because that's one of the other things that has allowed us not to be heard, is because of not organizing and amplifying our voices as it should be. So when a bill is being discussed, or maybe a policy, we are not on the table. And so what will happen is that the people who are on this table are the ones who are going to decide that. The second thing would be Europe. Europe has also done a lot because they even have gone as far as having an AI Act. And for the people who work on platforms, whether they're in freelancing, for example, Italy, what they have done is that because they have been suing and going to court on this, now they have brought all these lawsuits that they won, and they have told their courts, this is deliberate for these platforms, right? So what the courts have ordered is that someone is actually sitting with a Glovos to see how their algorithms work, so that they can confirm that this is very intentional in terms of how they exploit us. It's not business. It's not technology. That's not the excuse. India has also done the same, and Spain with riders. So there are countries that courts have listened. There are countries that their legislation has worked. And because our argument is because this is the same platform, for example, Uber, if they are able to do this in other countries, why are they not doing this in this country? It remains to be, it's our government that's not regulating, or it's not hearing the voices of the workers.
But do they operate the same way in these other countries, whereby there is eternal moratorium on social protection, for example, for these companies? Do they operate the same way in Canada that they do in Kenya, whereby they cannot be sued, for example, in terms of the need for worker compensation? Do they?
So they used to. because usually what they have done is that they have their mother company in Netherlands.
Yes.
And when they began, if any other country would try to sue them, you'd be asked to go to Netherlands. But because of the agitation from the workers and also some governments, and for example here in Kenya, they have an office. They're supposed to be operating under Kenyan law, regardless of the fact that they say they are in Netherlands, because that was passed as a regulation. So yes, they have operated the same, but because of the different agitation, the exploitation coming out, different governments and different courts have taken different pathways in terms of making sure that the workers are protected.
Okay. So what you're saying is that there is a way, because what we try to do is point ourselves in the way of a solution to this. And am I hearing, Wycliffe, Frida's talked about if people were to come together, because this united action then would lead or make the person that you're trying to get into the conversation then bend. Because it's not a question about whether people want the jobs. The people want the jobs. People are doing the jobs. Governments have created the jobs, or created the environment through then those jobs can be created. So on whom then? I mean, sure, Parliament has a role to play here, but then also the folks who've activated the jobs, the folks who are working on them, the people who came together in Canada, the example that she gave were the people who were in the system. What needs to be done here? Because we've heard these complaints for a very long time. What needs to be done here?
Okay. What needs to be done here is what we are actually doing now.
Okay.
Talking about these issues, mobilizing the workers, because that is what actually the union is doing. That's what we are doing through Africa Tech Workers Movement, and ensuring that the workers' voices are on the table. Because as I said, many times whenever government is coming up with a regulation, the workers' voices is not there. So what needs to happen is that we need to amplify this sound so that every worker knows that there is something happening and it is important that we speak out. Because, for example, one of the things that has always been a stumbling block to these voices coming out is that the way platform work is done is that everyone does it. Like, for example, in Uber. When Uber came, we were told, you are your own boss. You are an independent contractor. So you buy your car and your phone, you download the app, you start working. So there was no need of engaging anyone because you are your own boss. But over time, we came to realize that this illusion that we were independent contractors was just a hoax. Because you can't be an independent contractor who has no control over your work, you have no control over your income, you have no control over the decisions that control your work. That is not independence. And that's why in this particular Senate bill, we are actually proposing that there should be a third category of categorization of these workers called the dependent contractor. Because there is a lot of semblance of employment relationships in this work, and there is also a semblance of some independence, given the way the work is done. But also, there is a lot of control, meaning this is work that people have become dependent on the applications. So we are proposing the creation of a third category called the dependent contractor. So we have the employee relationship, we have the independent contractor, and we have a dependent contractor. All should be included in this bill. Because what that seeks to do is to bring out the issue of misclassification. Because what misclassification has done is that when you are labeled an independent contractor, it ensures that you cannot have any rights as any other worker. Because it's like you are just someone who came, you are given some piecework to do, you have no relationship. So that is what we are trying to cure.
If I may add to that. So there's also another thing I wanted to add in terms of active participation for the workers themselves. Because if you look at also the way unions are, for example, if I may use the example of teachers, when you're hired by the TSC, you automatically get into a union and your dues are sent to the union. For platform workers, it has to be very intentional and we have to highly participate because there's no one that's paying this money for you or telling you have to get into this union. Why I'm saying this is because we need to demonstrate what is happening, right, with evidence. So, for example, the other day we did a survey for drivers in terms of how they are deactivated and what it means and the impact in their lives. But then realize that this deactivation is across all sectors of the platform work. And so if we don't bring that out clearly and say, stop calling it deactivation, this is firing. If it's on the BPO side, stop giving people fixed-term contracts. Because what they do is that they will not fire you, but they will wait for your contract to end and then say that's it. If you look at the way the Employment Act is, you cannot just be fired in the morning. But with the BPOs, and this is a very recent example from a company called Nakama, where you get trained, you have your probation, and then you're just when you're about to transition now to the real work, you're told you have 2 days. They give you a letter, your work is done, 2 days to get out of there. So that's not protection, right? And that is what we are saying, that it might look different in different sectors. Even the content creators, they also are. One day you have very good ratings, tomorrow none, and then there's no explanation. So there's need for all platform workers. And when Wycliffe said about 1.2 million, let's build power ourselves so that we're able to demonstrate and expose these things, and also be on that table so that when we are talking about investment, we are making sure that labor, you cannot create jobs when you're not thinking about your people.
It is important for governments to continue creating job opportunities, right? Yes, it is good that we're inviting investors into the country. But one asks the question, what are our terms and conditions? We've just said that does not exist as we speak at the moment. And one then asks the question, the originator of the bill, Aaron Cheriot, did he understand what exactly he is pushing? Because if you look at the nitty-gritties of the bill is the BPOs have not been protected. The end user is not protected in this. The only person here who is enjoying everything is the mother company, who in one way or the other are saying, we are not involved in this process whenever someone complains about it. And if you hear the president as well say, Wewe Amuka, we will protect you so that you can come invest. Is government thinking about the nitty-gritties and protection of mwananchi when it comes to these jobs that everybody says is going to come? And how do we push them then towards thinking the way we are all doing so in this house? Because if someone in US is being protected, someone in Canada is being protected, yet Uber Kenya, if you go to US, it's the same thing. Why are we not seeing that apply here in Kenya?
Now, the funny part of this story is that whenever government is coming up with a bill, for example, we had the BPO Act that was being passed. Do you know, during the public participation of that bill, workers were never invited. But when we saw it in the papers, we had to storm the session. And guess who had been invited? All the BPO companies. Their CEOs were in that thing. And if you were to read the act as it were then, it was actually just the service level agreements of those companies that was being made to be a government bill. Yani, it was just like taking the Uber service level agreement and making it now the BPO bill for Kenya. So these things have happened. Even currently, we are having the AI bill. The way that thing is being done, the workers are nowhere. These guys just take the service level agreements of those companies, or what they call the terms and conditions for those companies. They come and make them look like it is now the proposed bill that is going to govern the sector. Meaning, it's like taking the employment letter of the Standard Group and making it now the official media bill that will govern the media industry in Kenya. That's what is happening. So, for us, we are very intentional, and we are really working together with several organizations. Now, like the union, like what she has just talked about, the issue of deactivation. One of the things that we are doing through this bill is that we are trying to name use the words that have been actually brought in by these applications into real labor terms. Because these companies have some very good words. For example, deactivation is a very nice word if you listen to it. But deactivation is literally either being suspended from work or being terminated in labor language. So we are looking at this thing and asking ourselves, what is deactivation and what is its impact? Now, the survey that she's talking about, it had very serious findings. For example, we surveyed 269 drivers in Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, Kiambu, and Kisumu. All these 269 drivers, the report said that 93% of those drivers rely on these applications as a full-time job. Number two, 74% of those drivers had active car loans. Number three, 63% of those drivers were never given notice before the activation. So what does that tell you? This is someone who has bought a car. He has gone to Uber on the promise that there is work and he can be able to pay for that car. Then one day he wakes up in the morning, the app is off. What do banks do? They come for the car. What does it mean to the life of that person? Because this is his main job, no livelihood. So some of these terms that are being brought here by the applications are very dangerous when you look at them from a labor perspective. So what we want to do is that we want to ensure that this bill must be interpreted from a labor context, not just the semantics of the apps.
But do we realize that the reason why the semantics are being used, obviously, is because these companies don't want to be under the responsibility of the labor laws of the country. I mean, it's clear.
They are avoiding accountability.
Right. It's clear what the intention is. Yes. So if you know that somebody's come to if somebody's come to has brought a gun to a knife fight, here it's obvious that they're going to be faster at it. So from the very get-go, it's been established that, okay, so we're going to come in, we're going to make our profits, we're going to provide jobs at whatever level, but you're not going to be able to hold us accountable for anything. It was in the DNA of their agreement. So how do you start to remove that when you've been 11 years on a platform, other people have been doing Upwork work, that's all they know. They hold up in their houses from morning till night, crunching the numbers, doing the thing. They've been doing it for years because it provides something that's better than nothing. Right? However, it looks as though these folks are getting away with murder. So how do you undo the DNA? It was embedded from the very beginning. How do you do that?
I would say first and foremost, government is supposed to protect their people. One of the things that these platforms do is that they look around and see which of the countries is not as bad in terms of regulation. Because then, like you have just said, is that they want to come and make profits and go. I usually like to talk about things that are practical so that we can see exactly what's happening. In April this year, Meta left. So they were contracting summer. The reason they left is because there was an expose around the Ray-Ban glasses. So they just removed that contract, and because of that, Summer had to lay off 1,100 people. So now,
deactivate.
They were laid off, and I mean, now if you think about such a situation, Summer is the one that's coming out as the bad person because they are the ones who are working with the. But then this person who was giving Summer the contract has left, and you know what they did? They went and bought a platform that now they are going to continue doing the same work, but outside of Kenyan jurisdiction, meaning that a Kenyan can still go to that platform, but how are you going to get to Meta? Because now they are not in this country, so you cannot say Meta is working with Summer. So those are the things that I feel like, yes, government needs to protect its people. And if they don't understand, like you asked with Cheriot, this is why we have public participation. So that if there's a side that you have not had, then you get an opportunity to understand and see for yourself so that you all make. There's whatever happened in ILO is very good because it usually brings these three parties together. Government, workers, and employers. I think that is also something that we need to do in everything that we are doing in this country, especially when it comes to platform work. So that all sides are heard and there's negotiations and there's agreements. Because then, again, as Wycliffe said, we are at a point where if this is what we are showing the young people, then they will grow up thinking that's how the labor market looks like. I mean, if I complain, I'll be fired. And yet you need to have and know your rights.
Yeah. So now that the bill now is in the National Assembly, you've written your memorandum to them with your concerns, right?
Yes.
What then are we looking forward to? Because are we looking at, do you hope that perhaps maybe you'll be given a seat at the table to explain, or will it just be another case of what happened in the Senate?
Now,
and if that happens, what's the recourse?
Now, I think we have done our submissions to the National Assembly. Mm-hmm. Actually, we as African Tech Workers Movement, we did our submission yesterday. I know Kugwo did their submission, and we have other partners, the Oversight Lab, everyone. We know people have done their submissions. But now, one thing that is coming out in this country is that to our legislators, public participation seems to be an inconvenience. It doesn't seem to be a right. Because even before this public participation notice came out this week on Tuesday or Monday, the other week on Tuesday, when this thing was being read in the National Assembly, the majority leader said the bill will not go through public participation because it is a waste of resources. It is on the Hansard.
On a matter that is affecting 1.2 million Kenyans.
Yes. Now, when we went on air, we were actually on another TV station sometime last week, and we made it very clear that public participation is a right, and we expect it to be done. On Tuesday this week is when the notice came out, and it was dated 25th.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Meaning, there was no plan for public participation had it not been for the noise that we made.
Yeah.
So we are hoping that we'll be called to explain our document.
Okay.
And if that doesn't happen, we will hope that they'll read our document carefully and consider some of the proposals we have made, because they are serious and the workers' issues need to be captured.
Okay.
If that doesn't happen, we still have the option of going back to court, because the court told us, let's wait and see how the National Assembly behaves. So if they don't behave according to what we expect, we still have the right to go back to court and stop that bill, even if it will be passed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's work still to be done. There is an expectation of what could happen in the next couple of days.
Yes.
And there's also additional recourse if there if this needs to happen.
Yes.
But that these conversations are being had and that there is something being done is very important, as you've both mentioned. That to even start the discourse is extremely vital. Wycliffe Lutalala is the chairman of the Africa Tech Workers Movement. Freedom Mwangi is the national chairperson of the Kenya Union of Gig Workers. Both of you, thank you for joining us in this conversation today. It's definitely one that we will continue to follow on and see where we are next. Thank you, everybody, for being in the Situation Room this morning for us to engage in discourse that matters. Asante Sana. Nduh Dennis Aseto saying thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Sugar and Spice is up at 11 o'clock again with Yolanda Mulwa. You want to tune into this. A very good morning. I'm telling you, Kabisa. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your listening. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is the news. I'm Sheila Tembor. Some Rift Valley leaders have defended Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen against remarks by Uasin Gishu Senator Jackson Mandago, Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, and Soy MP David Kiplangat. Led by Kinyoro Ward MCA Andrew Kipeke of Trans Nzoia County, the leaders claim the attacks against Murkomen are driven by succession politics within the Kalenjin community as President William Ruto's term near its end.
Watu wamesumbua Sudi, wakaenda Baringo, wakaenda kusumbua kijana kidogo anaitwa Kiborek. Sasa wamerudi kwa Kipchumba. Tunajua shida ni nini. Vita ambayo iko is about succession of Kalenjin community, and we are ready and we well prepared. We want Kipchumba Murkomen to be our spokesman after William Samoei. Hii vita ambayo mnapiga Kipchumba mumeangalia 2032, si ya saa hii. Kama rais alikuwa anajua nyinyi ni waaminifu, angepea Mandako kwa waziri, angepea Jereke kwa waziri, angepea huyu ya Soi huyu DK akuwa waziri. Mbona akachukua Kipchumba Murkomen? Because Kipchumba Murkomen is loyal to the president.
Kipekee has called on the leaders to focus on service delivery rather than divisive politics, accusing them of prioritizing personal interest over those of the public.
Na kabla hujafikia Murkomen